We're live now.
Hello and welcome to Starr Mazer TV. I'm Don Thacker.
I'm Austin Montville.
And I am the director of the game, and Austin is
the game developer of the game.
This is the first time we've ever done this, so it might be crap. If it's crap, we'll make it better next time, and next time is like tomorrow or the next day.
We'll have lots of iterations.
We'll have lots of iterations. This will be the best thing by the time it's done. Actually, if the Kickstarter goes, probably not even if the Kickstarter goes, during the development of the game, we're probably going to keep going with Starr Mazer TV no matter what. So keep your eyes peeled as though potatoes. The thing where you're looking at me is creepy because I'm looking at you looking at me.
Oh, because you can see me.
I can see you. It's very
well, I figured like I'm listening to you.
Oh, so, yeah.
Like,
no, we're putting on the act.
Yeah.
I have a cute little cat here. Her name is Bitwise. Her name is spelled 1/0. Yeah, so it seems like we have questions already.
We haven't even talked about the topic yet.
We haven't.
Questions.
We'll get to the topic in a minute.
All right, let's answer the
question
first.
First question is, why isn't this game 100% funded?
Who asked that question?
This is the Army of None through Twitch.
Okay, so Twitch viewer Army of None asks, why isn't this game 100% funded yet? That's a damn good question. That's a damn good question. We got like $30,000 in the first day.
It was crazy.
First 2 days.
Nuts.
Which is great. But
heartwarming.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons we're having StarMazer.tv today is to express, to address rather some concerns that people are having. How we take a shmup and a point-and-click adventure and staple them together. The fact is we're not going to do that. We're actually making a cogent, cohesive, unified experience that leans on those two genres, but it's not merely like slamming those two genres together. So I think there might be some confusion out there as to like what the game is. So we're going to try to address that tonight. So that's probably why. I don't know why, man. It's lightning in a bottle. Why did Hyperlight Drifter ask for $27,000 and get 600 in like 4 days? Who knows, man? Why have other really legit games tried Kickstarter, failed, tried again, and then succeeded? A lot of it's effort. We're putting the effort in. We have the quality. We have the stuff. We got a game. We got all the stuff. You have you guys. So
yeah, all of you.
Yeah, I think timing and they're mitigating factors. I've done a bunch of statistical analysis. I come from a big data background, and I've done a whole bunch of statistical analysis, and it looks like the stock market. It looks just like random. I mean, there are always going to be interested people, and everybody who has backed us so far is incredible, and we are very thankful, but I don't think there's a clear answer. We will try to fix any confusion that might actually exist, for sure. But as far as why it's not actually funded 100%, we don't know. We're not even halfway through the campaign, and we're well over halfway through the funding, but I'd like to hit those stretch goals.
Yeah, man, I want it on all the consoles.
Yeah.
I want it on consoles not even listed on that list.
Yeah.
We got to hit those consoles first.
So we have another question.
So Chanello on Twitch asks, is there a contingency plan if you do not meet funding?
Yeah, Chanello. So this is the thing, we don't want to publicly talk about our contingency plan because
we have a plan.
We have a plan. We definitely have a plan. Starr Mazer is going to get made. The question is Starr Mazer going to get made in a timely fashion, or is Starr Mazer going to be the thing we do on the side while we're doing other things that can actually...
That's already been the case for you.
Yeah. I mean, the reason Starr Mazer doesn't exist now is because I've been taking on other projects, because Starr Mazer has been my dream, but it needs... So, Starr Mazer is going to cost more than the 160 we're asking. It's going to cost more than twice that. We're attempting to raise the 160 because that is the number that if you look at our cost breakdown on the Kickstarter, that fulfills the minimum need so that all of the members of the team can focus on Starr Mazer enough to get it done in a year. Otherwise, we're gonna keep making it. I mean, I stole money, not really stole, it was my budget, but I took money from a film budget to make the intro sequence that you've come to love, at least an early prototype of it, in 2010. I mean, I'm trying to get this game done. So, yeah, there's a contingency plan, but the fastest, most effective, and most undirtied or unmangled way to get the game done is for us to hit this goal. The reason being, I've got publishers clamoring at the door, and they all want a chunk of the game. I've got some companies who want to just buy it outright. That takes the game away from us, takes the game away from you guys, and puts it in the hands of somebody who's going to try to make it fit some marketing model or something. And the truth is, we want to make Starr Mazer, and right now we can make Starr Mazer in the year and a few months that we've got scheduled. Our schedule bears out that we can cover that game with that 160. Anything more hits our stretch goals. We have more stretch goals in the consoles to announce, which we will be doing this week. But anything beyond that 160 is gravy, but that 160 is the minimum amount we need. We absolutely have contingency plans. The game will get made. It's just like, I don't know if it's coming out in a year. If yeah, so what I don't want to do is give up the idea that you should pledge now and maybe you should just wait, because you might wait 5 years. You might wait until we have to stop working on the game and move on to something else. We do have a contingency plan. We will be working on the game. We know that for at least half of this year, we can continue working on the game with or without the Kickstarter. We'd be seeking other angles and all that. But again, every angle that we seek comes with some kind of...
Yeah, there's a cost.
There's a quality mitigation, some issue.
It gets involved in development, things take longer, they don't necessarily hit the quality you want because you're not focusing on it completely. So
Right.
yeah, it's not the best way to do the project.
We're no longer bringing the game to you guys. We're bringing it to some higher level party with interest in unit sales rather than like making the coolest game ever. Yeah.
It looks like we have another question.
Yeah, you got lots of questions.
Let's answer them.
So, the story is randomly generated.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I'm gonna answer it in a high level, then Austin's gonna take care of some of the technical details.
Right, yeah.
It's not randomly generated at all. In fact, it'd be really hard to randomly generate what we're doing. We're writing everything. Watch this, Vanessa. Let's see if this works. She's in the office right now, actually writing. We're writing every little bit. I don't know if she heard.
You don't see them.
No.
But, like, there are other people doing physical tasks.
Come
right
join
now.
us for just 1 second. Just sit right here, I think, maybe, or somewhere in the
Come on
screen.
in.
This is Vanessa Williams. She is the lead
Man,
writer.
look at that.
on Starr
She's got her
Mazer.
own-
Oh my God,
she's got her
name
own name
appeared.
and everything.
So she's a writer, the lead writer. It's my story, but she's doing all the writing. We're writing constantly, so it's not randomly generated. It's procedurally chunked, is what I've been saying. The story stacks together. Am I taking away from all of your time? Are you super busy? Did I just like pull you out of something?
No, it's fine. I was just watching you guys.
Oh, you were watching us.
But back in time.
Because of the temporal
delay.
distance.
So I was
loop.
surprised to hear my name called, but not have it called on the headphones.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're having the game take account of the things you're doing and make the appropriate story decisions based on those elements. We're not writing trees of events. We're writing instead modular events that respond to the environment that they're in. A story arc can express itself procedurally by having very clearly defined moments that are all intelligently stitched together. I just wanted to prove that we have a writer writing it. It's not just like a computer doing it.
Yeah, it's not like a random like pick an event out of a thing. We have, as Don was describing, sections of story, but how you get in and out and the littler arcs within that story are changed. So that's going to be the challenge for myself and also for Don, is to create like an interesting web of events and keep you on your toes. So there's thousands of ways to get through the entire game, the entire 10 to 12 hour experience, but every time you play it's going to be a different way, and you might get to those giant story arcs but in a different direction.
Yeah. So that's the story element. We have procedurally chunked shmup sections as well, the shoot 'em up sections. And those are, again, crafted moments that are intelligently stitched together. We're doing some sort of overlaying tricks and stuff to make sure that the experience is always seamless and feels natural. But it's not a memorization game, it's a skill game. So I'd like to throw to you, Austin, so you can maybe discuss the insides of that.
Yeah, so basically, like, there's sort of two ways to approach this problem of generating content dynamically. You can let a computer do it, but robots right now aren't amazing at writing stories. That's a problem that's been worked on for decades, and it's really difficult. So instead, we have writers working on writing stories, because writers are actually much better at it than any algorithm I can try to compute on a computer. So the way we've changed this problem is that instead of trying to solve this problem of building an AI, we need to make enough content for it. The way the actual system breaks down is that we have series of events in the game, and events are tied to characters or places or situations, and not really, they don't need to know about the entire world. Like, for me to function in the world, I don't need to know about everything that's going on, but I need to know about certain key things, and I'm going to react to certain key things because they've affected me and they're important to me. And that's how we build our events in the game. We are actually recording everything that you do in the game. Everything from like making a big decision, such as like overthrowing an empire, to like did you give the bartender a good tip? Like everything in between there. Like how many bullets did you dodge in the Star Wolf? Like, are you a good pilot or are you a bad pilot? And that's just a database of information. And so Vanessa can be like, oh man, it would be great. Like this person, they really love fighter pilots, right? And so they have maybe heard about your exploits if you're a good enough fighter pilot. So she just has to check, like, oh, have you dodged over 1,000 bullets, right? Like, how many times have you gotten hit? And if it's under a certain amount or over a certain amount, we have new dialogue that comes up, and we have to write that content. So basically, instead of having the computer do all the work, we're having the writer do all the work.
Yeah,
it's a monolithic amount of work.
I come from a programming background, and what we're actually doing is creating sort of a super high-level meta language. We're programming the events via writing. Like, he's building tools that we are then going to implement in our own logical sort of way. And we're stacking the events and building all this stuff. What's really cool, though, is we can build elements without regard necessarily to the entire game experience. Like he was saying, we could build a guy, maybe a pirate, and the pirate he only cares about respect. He only cares about money, and he only cares about how awesome somebody is as a fighter. He might join you. He might his story arc might be either becoming an enemy or a friend to you, and then he might join you in the shmup sections or join you at the bar, but he won't do so because we wrote him to do any of those things particularly. We'll just give those as options of things he can do, and he will examine his little universe. And he'll only be interested in those things. When he sees Brick, is Brick just another non-classy human, or is Brick a badass fighter pilot? And that's his consideration. So we have a big board that we're building that has all of the possible things that we can use for a story, and it's just a gargantuan writing task. So randomly generated, no. Procedurally built, crafted. Yeah, procedurally loved. Yeah. We have another, just a related question or something.
No,
totally
more questions. Lots of questions.
Let's hit them.
So many questions.
How do you concept the animation? Is it all a 2D process, or are there 3D tools like Maya used at any point?
We our artist is Christina Antoinette Neofotistou. She's in Greece, so she's asleep right now.
Finally.
But finally, she works like 32-hour days.
In
It's
a day.
ridiculous.
There's not that many hours.
She doesn't stop. I will get up, talk to her, do a bunch of work with her all day long, go to sleep, and then wake up early, and maybe she's asleep if I'm lucky. She's incredible, but she's entirely a 2D illustrator. Every piece of animation, every rotation, every cool looking effect is all conceived entirely 2D. And she does it by hand. We're releasing a whole bunch of videos.
Yeah, we have a process video.
Yeah.
There was a cool update that we did about how we're working with Children of Morta and doing some crossover stuff. And so there's an animation that you can look at our Kickstarter page posted right now. We have the process video of that, of her actually building the entire animation.
Yeah.
And it was really cool getting to see her process. Like, we're not in Greece, so like we see the results, but I actually got to watch like every little detail she does, and I hadn't quite seen that process used before. So I'm actually like, it's really cool to see, from my perspective, to see that.
Yeah, so it's all hand done. Every little thing is hand done. Yes, it's a gargantuan number of assets, but we're ready to do it.
Yeah, she's faster than any artist I've ever worked with before. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. But like, I mean, we have seen her do 3D work before.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's involved in her process now, but I would not be surprised if she actually did include 3D in some parts of her process.
Sure.
But she doesn't seem to have to. Like, she's got the anatomy, she's got the perspective nailed down. So
Yeah.
I know some artists will do that. They'll set up a 3D scene. I haven't seen her do that yet. She just used 3D to build the Star Wolf.
The Star Wolf, but I do remember her kind of complaining a little that she's not super good at it. So I 3D, which I would never. The Star Wolf exists as a 3D model now
Yeah.
because she's
Thanks.
great at it.
Yeah,
But-
if you've already backed the project, then you have access to that PDF.
yeah, totally.
So-
What's the next question?
Next question is, what classic games are influencing the look and feel of Starr Mazer?
Okay, wow, that's rough.
You'll get different ansers from us.
Yeah, we're gonna totally.
I'm gonna step out for
You
a
got-
second.
You got work to do.
Yeah.
All right,
All
go write the thing.
Go do work.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. So yeah, no. For me, the UN Squadron is a huge influence. Gate of Thunder for the shmup sections I'm talking about, obviously. Gate of Thunder is a huge influence. R-Type, obviously, if you look at our pickup system and that's a huge influence. Gradius and Darius are both cool. I actually really like Lords of Thunder, though we're not really relating our visual look, but some of the gameplay elements from Lords of Thunder. If you haven't been able to tell you, most of these you can find in the TurboGrafx or Turbo Duo. That's kind of my system of choice. And there's a secret that only you guys will know. I've been hinting at it a bunch on the Twitter and everything. But there is an upcoming stretch goal for a TurboGrafx 16 demake of at least the shmup sections of the game. So if you own a TurboGrafx 16 and you want to help us get there, tell all your friends. It's going to be cool. But no, for me, TurboGrafx 16, 16-bit era was what the look is stemming from. What we're trying to do is extrapolate and update that. We're not trying to stay slavish to a restriction. We're trying to imply the feeling that those things brought. So for the shmup sections, it's those. For the gameplay sections, I didn't really find for the point and click sections. I haven't really found what we're doing. Yeah, you could say the old Sierra games definitely an influence. Day of the Tentacle definitely an influence. All those Scum games totally. But the art style itself is what we think is unique. And I think actually we've spent like 2 weeks now kind of arguing back and forth about locking down certain elements of our art style. One of the things that keeps coming up is this hasn't been done, or this isn't normally done this way. And that's actually been kind of a nice sort of what's the word I'm looking for? No, a breakthrough that we've kind of come to, that our art style maybe isn't something that necessarily has been done the way we're doing it before. But yeah, all of the old Gabriel Knight, Space Quest, obviously, the style of the earlier Leisure Suit Larrys, where the pixels would actually shift pixel diameter as they got smaller and stuff. That's where I'm coming from. Austin, though, different.
Well, the one thing I want to talk about, because like one thing that's said a lot, because it's easier to communicate this idea, is that we talk about like, oh, the PNC section, the SMUP section, like that doesn't actually exist in the game. I mean, we are taking elements of both, so it's easier to say like, oh, this is the gameplay that's more similar to shmups, this is the gameplay that's more similar to point and click. But remember, like when we're building Starr Mazer, we're building that game.
Let's all agree on a thing, all of us, you guys included.
All right, we're gonna do a thing.
When you're in the Star Wolf, it looks one way.
That's probably the better.
When you're out of the Star Wolf,
yeah, and another thing that we've been working on is like sort of the control scheme, making it as seamless as possible, so that like the current challenge that I'm actually figuring out is making the Star Wolf work with the mouse or work with touch inputs, because some players like to use mouse and keyboard, some players like to use a gamepad. Those are very easy to solve. Like that's already done. Some players want to use only a mouse, and that's a little challenging with the Star Wolf sections, but we are working on that. So the idea is to have it all seamless. You can play the way that you want to play.
Yeah.
But as far as my inspirations for the games that inspire me to get to this point is for on the the Star Wolf side, games like Radiant Silvergun are a huge inspiration to me. It's a much slower paced vertical scrolling shooter. It has a very interesting upgrade system with your choices of weapons. That's actually been inspiration in previous games I've made, and it still holds up today. The great thing about Radiant Silvergun is its replayability. The fact that you're encouraged to play over and over and over again, and that upgrade system had elements of it. So you're definitely going to feel a little bit of that in Starr Mazer, especially in the gut system that we have and the type of weapons and how power-ups work. Which I want to get into later.
Yeah, we're going to have a whole section that's
we're answering questions right now.
The guts and bugs,
so that's a huge influence for me. Gradius 3 is my horizontal scrolling shooter, and the reason is because when you're playing it, you feel like the best pilot in the world because you get all these power-ups and literally the game physically slows down. They preserved this in the SNES version, so you get that feeling of flow constantly. But the interesting thing about it is that one bullet can take you out. So despite the fact that you're incredibly powerful, you still have this fear that like one wrong move can destroy me. Now, Brick's a slightly different style pilot, and he can take a couple hits before he goes down. He'll go down fighting, but that's sort of that feeling of being the ace pilot, of feeling really powerful, as opposed to like in like bullet hell vert shooters, you don't feel powerful. You feel like, oh my good lord, I'm surviving by the skin of my teeth. Like Brick is a badass. He's good at flying. So that experience I want to pull over from Gradius.
There's a moment, and you can find this in the Thunder series, or even in like the Thunder Force series, or especially the Star Soldier series, where the bullets move. It's not bullet hell. Bullet hell is actually something we're avoiding.
Yeah, that's like a subgenre, which is cool. Yeah, that's not Starr Mazer.
It's not something that we're avoiding explicitly, but it's definitely not something we're inheriting. We're making inheriting. We're making Starr Mazer, and Starr Mazer has elements of different things. We do like there to be moments where it's a pitched battle and you've got to like work a pattern, but a lot of the time we're looking for you to be able to express your abilities as a pilot. And one of the cool things I want to achieve, and I feel it in like the Star Soldier series like I was talking about, or the Thunder Force series, is things are moving slowly enough or they're readable enough that sometimes you'll be dodging, there's a threat immediately in front of you and you'll see a guy fire from way over here and part of your brain will track that one bullet. And you'll be doing you're dodging the situation, and you watch that one bullet come, and when it gets you, you knew that bullet was going to get you. You feel that, I knew I could see it the whole time coming at me. And that's where we teach you to skill up. That's where the mistakes you make are mistakes you made, and not like the game screwed you and exploded in your face and was just bullets everywhere. We want it to feel like you can be like Brick. You can increase your ability to be a great pilot. And when you are a good pilot, it's because you did it, and not just because you got you got lightning level 6, which just like wipes the whole screen.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the things that we're implementing in our gut system. But that'll come later.
Yeah.
We've got another question, but I haven't even talked about my PNC inspiration, so I'm going to mention that real quick. So actually, like full disclosure, I'm not a fan of the PNC genre for the most part. Like a lot of
I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah,
he
he has no
really
idea.
great.
I say ridiculous things. But I have been really inspired by a lot of more modern PNC experiences. So like my three biggest inspirations right now are Phoenix Wright. I love Phoenix Wright because there was only 1 or 2 times that I felt that I was like pixel hunting. It was more about like solving the puzzle, and I felt that they always offer you all the tools, and you knew you had all the tools, so you know you can solve the puzzle right there in the courtroom. You just have to figure out the pieces. What is it that you're missing? Like push someone a little bit farther. And that's the sort of puzzle solving I like. Not that like you're worried that you don't have this one piece that you don't know about. Like no, everything's laid out there. You just have to figure it out. And we're doing some other aspects about like presenting multiple puzzles and the way that you can acquire items to make sure that the puzzle you're solving is in front of you and like you're not missing some piece of it. You just have to figure how to do it. Right. So that's a big inspiration. The other two are Snatcher and actually an indie game that is in development right now called Read Only Memories, which after the stream you should totally check that out. There's a playable demo. I love that game. They've brought a lot of really cool modern things to the point-and-click genre, which I am very much strongly in support of, including them in Starr Mazer. A couple things are outlining objects. So like when you mouse over something, it highlights it so you know that it's something you can interact with. Once again, this supports this concept of not like trying to find the piece that you didn't even know about, and that you know that this is a piece. How do you use it? So you're solving a puzzle as opposed to looking for a puzzle to solve, which is a lot more gratifying experience.
We're not going to make the game falsely complex. We're not going to hide things from you. The story will be compelling, and the puzzles will be compelling enough that we don't need to rely on hiding things from the player.
To like sort of extend the gameplay arbitrarily, right? Which was a great thing to do back in the 90s and 80s when you wanted more hours of gameplay. But no, we want hours of good gameplay. But yeah, basically the cinematic elements of Snatcher and Read Only Memories, the sort of narrative, the feeling that you got of like traveling around from place to place, and that like you could really explore these areas, and you felt like multiple things are going on at the same time, and you're really just trying to like focus on like this aspect at this moment, but you have other options. So just sort of the feeling, the grittiness of it, the feeling that it's this open world that you're a part of, as opposed to a linear experience that you're like, I have to do the next checkbox. Those are my personal inspirations.
We're getting all kinds.
Yeah,
of...
we've got all the questions. So
they're all queuing up in here.
Yeah.
All right.
let's tear.
Let's go to the next one. Sorry.
The next one is: are you guys releasing on anywhere besides PC? Also, where can I get one of those bitchin' posters or scrolls?
Okay, cool. That's good. Yes. Our second to latest update describes that we are launching to everything we can. PC, Mac, and Linux we'll get to with our 160 base goal. We have immediate stretch goals at very, very tight iterations beyond there. Go to the Kickstarter and find out. But we want Microsoft and Sony. Every platform we can. We want mobile, obviously. We're definitely working on a way to make shoot 'em up. Star Wolf sections not feel terrible on touch devices. We're looking for the Vita for sure. we're looking for the 3DS. I want it on the 3DS more than anything. The
That's
3DS,
like, what was one of the first things you said? You're like, how do we get it on 3DS?
now, but the problem is 3DS is a totally different
It's the most
architecture.
complicated
We're using
one.
Unity to build, so a lot of those are easy to target. And mostly, it's content matching and dealing with like we use multiple screens and that sort of stuff. But the 3DS is an entirely new architecture, entirely different architecture, and
We'll have to rewrite almost
we'll have
every
to
line
rewrite
of code.
every line. But it's a stretch goal, and we want to hit it. How do you get one of these guys? Well, these guys you can't. Unfortunately, these not these scrolls. You can't get these because they're ours. But that we had for the first 72 hours, and there are like 1,500 of you guys who got them. These are the 72-hour backer. So I guess if you backed in the first 72 hours, and we call them 0-day posters because a day on Hollow Exit are 72 hours long. That's the way you could have gotten them. We tweeted about it and posted about them, and that's how you get one of these. Every backer, doesn't matter if you back for $1 or $1,000, gets one of these guys, no matter what. If we hit our goal in the first 72 hours, that's over. However, we do have posters coming. They're not these. They're actually these are exclusive, and they have the border and they have the gold print on top and bottom. The other ones are actually really great posters. They don't have the border and the exclusive gold stuff. They're not just this image. There's some other stuff too. So you could prefer one to the other. These were just our rarefied ones. What was the other thing? Posters and scrolls. Yeah, these scrolls are ours. If you come up to me at a convention or you write us personally and say you did something ludicrous like had 1,000 people back or like backed for a bunch of money, I'll give you one of these things. Nothing in stone, but yeah, right now they're what we take with us to conventions to show off, and remarkably, they're actually quite expensive. The scroll things. These are the things we had actually at PAX South. They roll up into a nice little thing. Anyway, that's too much. I'm being too verbose. What's next?
I am more of a graphic adventure guy than a shmup guy.
Yeah.
I love shmups, but I'm not great at them.
Sure.
Will there be a difficulty adjustment for those of us in this position?
So the question is, will there be a difficulty adjustment for people who are better at one thing than the other thing? Because that can happen. Some people, as this particular dude, is more into the graphical adventure bits, which is super legit, and there are maybe other people who are more into the shmup bits. Two major things. We're going to get into the system that actually drives it in a whole like dedicated section.
I can talk about this like specifically though.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
then-
say your thing.
I was going to say, yes, the game will not only modify itself to fit you, we will also have some difficulty selecting stuff. He will.
Yeah, so
further.
actually, like at the beginning of this, I was like very gung ho. I'm like, yes, we're going to have a completely dynamic difficulty system that, based on the style of play, it will perfectly fit your experience. But in actual practice, I know because I've done this before, I've played many games that have tried to do it, you can never fit every situation.
Right.
We can make a very good dynamic difficulty system.
And it'll be in there.
Yeah, and there will absolutely be adjustments to it. Like, that's built into the core of the game. But there are going to be some players who are just aces at solving puzzles and can't do anything but fly the Starr Wolf straight into a rock. And so for them, a difficulty adjustment is going to be required. So there will absolutely be different difficulty levels for Starr Mazer. But once again, Starr Mazer is not two separate games put together. You're not going to pick your shmup difficulty level in your point-and-click adventure. You're going to pick the difficulty of the game. And furthermore, the systems within the game we're going to allow you to be able to customize your experience, so you can make the shmup parts, or you can make the Starr Wolf sections harder or easier based on your preference, and the sort of puzzles that you get involved to, it'll naturally flow out based on the choices you make throughout the game. So
There's an element in Aero Blasters where if you're good enough of a pilot to nab the, I don't know what it stands for, the B, you get these giant like ramps that go on the front of your ship where the thing speeds up, and you can go through the sections and you can hit those walls a bunch. They basically guide your ship through the section, but you have to have first gotten the B, which is itself very hard. Imagine getting the B being something that you do in the point-and-click adventure section.
by taking risks.
By taking risks, yeah, but you now have the ability to upgrade your Starr Wolf to have a ramping system or something to help you get through the things that you might not be the best at during the Starr Wolf sections. We've got a year of development to get through to hone that, but
The concepts are solid.
the concepts are solid. Making the shmup is not hard. Making a great shmup, of course, is hard. But making the basic concept of a shmup is not hard. Making the basic concept of a point and click is not hard. We're not making those. We made those. Those exist. We can click around and walk. We can do puzzles. Those things exist. Starr Mazer is not those. Starr Mazer is the integration of those so tightly that it's a new gameplay experience. That's what our development time is going to be spent on. but there's going to be its own the game difficulty, and then the game inside. Once you choose your difficulty, will then modify itself to match your actual playstyle. Yes, sir. Next question.
If you meet the 3DS funding goal, or if there's a 3DS version somewhere down the line, would it support 3D or stay 2D only?
3D.
Yeah, I want
3D.
to. So we've got those like awesome like parallax scrolling. If you
We have
look at,
so many layers.
if you look at our asteroid section in the video,
yeah.
it's actually like 7 layers
It's
of parallax
so
scrolling.
good. I want to just look deep.
Yeah,
down
so
in there.
you will see the full depth of that, and that's just some of the basic things we
Yeah.
think about. Like, we're gonna go deep.
We're gonna go deep. There are a couple of elements that I have on our design board. A couple of things I'm really pushing for that we're trying to work through that actually use depth layers in the gameplay. So yeah, the 3DS would be perfectly suited for this. It will be an engrossing and amazing experience on any device. I personally am most excited about being able to open that clamshell, turn on that 3D on my new 3DS, and just like get sucked in. That's the world that I want. I also want to play it on my television.
Yeah, so we get the 60
60
inches of
awesome.
Starr Mazer.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm kind of excited about is although 3DS is a big challenge because we have to rewrite the game. Because we have to rewrite the game, we'll get to take full advantage of the hardware. So we're going to have a little bit of extra time to really take advantage of every aspect of it. Like the new 3DS is coming out, it's got the extra chip, it's got the extra processing power, and because we'll be dealing with that hardware directly, I want to take advantage of this stuff. Not that it won't work on older 3DS models,
No, of course,
but you're going to have a lot of buttons there. I want to customize the experience so it feels perfect for you.
What do we have next?
All right. So going back to the open middle gameplay from earlier, it's like a choose-your-own-adventure of sorts that can happen in different orders?
So the question is it like a choose-your-own-adventure that can happen? Yes, of course. But this is something that I've actually fallen into as the story designer. Everything is. The choose-your-own-adventure, it's not... People love to relate things to the choose-your-own-adventure because we all experience the choose-your-own-adventure, but the choose-your-own-adventure just took the idea of choice and gameplay and boiled it down to its simplest form.
Yeah.
Do a thing, pick a way, and we all of us grew up with those and are like, oh man, that's just like a choose-your-own... Well, every game, Call of Duty is effectively like a choose-your-own-adventure. It's just that it's got 700,000 pages a second that you can jump to by pulling a trigger and jumping off a thing. So, it definitely will be. And I'm not saying that, I'm not being cheeky and saying, well, of course it will be because it's a game, and the choose-your-own-adventure is the most boiled-down version of a game. No, it's very much in that... Your decisions will have different outcomes, and very much like a choose-your-own-adventure, page 9 might have you met the girl, but you might get to page 9 from telling everybody that you never want to meet this girl, then you meet the girl, or you really want to meet this girl, and you meet the girl. The context of page 9 changes a great deal.
You're at a cafe,
and the girl comes in,
right?
So page 9's context changes with how you get to it. So in that way, yes, it's very much.
Yeah, that is really the core aspect of the open middle gameplay.
Right.
Is that we can build pieces of content, but the context is what's really important.
Correct.
The fact that you come in from multiple angles, and then you deal with this situation that is refined and handcrafted, and then you have all these possible outcomes, and those are going to be based on the context that you're bringing Brick along through the story.
Yeah.
And it's cool because all right, we've got these two different concepts, right? And so if we just had them go to these paths, that's interesting. But then you change 2 of them, the order. So, then you met the girl, and then you're at the cafe, or you met the girl, and then you never wanted to meet the girl, right?
Yeah.
That completely changes the feel of the story,
Right.
but it's still, relatively simple to build that. It's achievable to build that concept.
Yeah, managing it is the difficult part, and that's where we spend the year of development.
About the TurboGrafx 16/PC Engine DMake,
Yeah.
will it be on a Hue card or a TG16 PCE CD DMake?
Okay, so,
We have opinions about this.
yeah, we do. I want the Hue card, because that's when I grew up, I carried those little things and put a rubber band. Oh, I love the Hue card, but Hue
I
cards
want
are
our soundtrack on that CD.
There you go.
Huh.
So the Hue card is super limited, and that's a major problem. We could even get a Hue card with an extra EEPROM built on, like the Street Fighter 2 Hue card has a whole extra section built onto it. But I think what will probably happen is there'll probably be a limited run of Hue cards that are just like a shmup thing, and then there's probably a little bit more demake that's on a disc. If we hit that goal, though, I think we haven't announced yet. We're going to announce once we get. We're talking to manufacturers and we need the boards printed and all that. But our current spec says if we hit $750,000, that's when we're going to make that
Kind of
thing.
a dream thing.
Yeah, it's our dream thing. The game gets made. That's the throw on that means that we touched all of the dreams. We went all the way back in time and hit the dreams. My 9-year-old self explodes, and it's the greatest thing. But if we do that, what seems to be possible is you get a Hue card and you get the disc. I know that a couple of Bonk's Big Adventure came out both on Hue card and on disc. On Hue card, it was missing some features, and the soundtrack was normal chippy stuff. And on the disc, it was better music, longer adventure, and some new features. So, my ideal world. None of this is announced yet. We'll announce a thing once we have numbers locked. That's the thing we're doing, by the way. We're not announcing that. People are like, what about consoles? Why don't you sell us on day 2? It's because we had to convince those guys not only to license us immediately, like overnight, but also that we would actually be able to release on their consoles. What we don't want to do is sell you a bill of goods. We don't want to say, yes, we can release on the 3DS, have you guys back us, and then not be able to do it. So that's why we're announcing, we're not holding things off or being falsely rare. The TG16 thing, I got today a box concept of how we would build it into a box if we release the physical box copy or the TG16 copy in the physical box. Every day is a new opportunity to answer questions that we're asking 1,000 of. You have 1,000 questions for us, we have 1,000 questions for the world on how to bring you guys the best thing. So my ideal is that there's a U card in there somewhere. Let's try to hit that 750 and see what we can do.
Yeah. We'll figure out the details.
Yeah, the details we can figure it out.
All right. How does the transition from shoot 'em up to point and click work in game?
All right, so can I talk about the gray box?
Go for it.
We've been throwing around these ideas. My dream, and this was actually something that Austin pitched to me, so it's not like we're not arguing in this at all. It's again one of those things we absolutely need to work out correctly. We have a bunch of concepts. My dream is, and we had a little bit of a gray box working that's similar to this. You walk over to the
like its function.
Pardon?
It's function.
Yeah, it functions. It just doesn't have a bunch of graphics on it.
Yeah.
The gray box is a bunch of gray boxes that all do the thing.
Yeah, that's why
we put art. That's why I call it the gray box.
Yeah.
You go over to the Star Wolf. You jump in and you pilot the Star Wolf out of the dock. And as you do so, the camera's pulling back, the UI is shrinking, everything, and then you're in space. There is no transition. You just did it. I love to bring up Mario. Right?
Yeah.
Mario is the most simplified gameplay in the world. You say Mario Brothers, everybody knows exactly what you mean. Super simple, no complication, no transitions. That's bullshit. Mario swims. That's a completely different gameplay. Basically, if you think about it, Mario swimming is Flappy Bird. You're constantly falling. You need to pull yourself up. You have to dodge.
You touch the thing, you die.
You touch the thing, you die. It's Flappy Bird. Mario, you would never put Mario and Flappy Bird together. Imagine how I said to you, what if I put a platformer and Flappy Bird together? Everybody would be like, what? That's impossible. But the truth is, Mario did it in the first game. It's part of the game. You never question that. You never say, well, how are you going to manage the transition between swimming and running Mario? You don't. You just jump in the water and go. In our game, you jump in the Star Wolf.
But it was a problem that had to be solved.
It did.
What are the control mechanics of swimming? What are the control mechanics of platforming? Like how does when you go into world 3-2 or something, and you're like boom water, you're like it's weird because you're in water, but you get it like instantly,
yeah.
Right? And so that is what we are refining and iterating on to make sure that you click to hop in the Star Wolf and you just grab the joystick and then boom, you're flying. You don't even think about it.
Right.
So once again, it seems like these disparate things, but with iteration and design, like someone's gonna pick up Starr Mazer and it's not gonna be like, oh, how did they do these two things? It's like, oh, sweet, I'm playing Starr Mazer.
Yeah, we're playing Starr Mazer. That's it. Mario always swims now.
Yeah.
It's two disparate systems put into one thing that is just the Mario style. What else we got?
All right. How was the experience of making a whole new universe, and what inspired you guys?
Wow, that's cool. Okay, I'll start.
Try not to give the 3 hours.
I won't. It's hard though. The whole new universe. Here's the trick. It's not a new universe. I'm a filmmaker and a game maker. I've done 2 motion pictures. I've done countless short films. I've done a bunch of writing for games, and I hope none of my game clients are watching this right now, because I actually set everything in the same universe. It's one cohesive universe. There are companies in that universe that kind of run things all the way back from the Wild West all the way to the far future. There are lines of people who've lived through all these things, and character names will relate. When I die, if I ever get any kind of notability, or maybe I'm just this crazy conquered guy that somebody knew down the street, they'd go to the attic and find out. oh my god, that one movie and that commercial and that video game were all in
It
the
was
same
all good.
universe.
I could see the line.
Right. So like one of those murder like serial killers.
Yeah,
stuff,
you
the,
see it's like
the red lines.
and Starr Mazer.
Starr Mazer, but Starr Mazer is a small portion of a larger universe that I've created. It is incredible. It's what I've wanted to do since I was a child. I started making this universe when I was like 4.5. So it's been a lifelong thing. What you're seeing expressed here, I was asked by an interviewer how it is I touched his 9-year-old heart so instantly when he was reviewing stuff for Starr Mazer. And I said, bro, it's because he just reached into my 9-year-old heart and just put it there. Like, that's for you. Like, that's so for me, it's catharsis. It's hard work. I've got to take all those things that I've wanted to say and say them in a way that functions for mass appeal and works in a game. So it's very complicated. It's super exciting. Being able to do this, having the potential to be able to do this with your guys' help is incredible. So yeah, that's how it feels for me to do it. Austin will probably answer the question directly.
About like building a world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more like on the ground, like the mechanics, the
Yeah.
dirty feel and whatnot. So like the way I approach this problem is like, actually, it's great to work with Don because he's got the universe planned out, and so he has all these ideas of like, okay, this is this race of play, these characters, and like this event happens, and these are important, and like I just take those and turn them into mechanics. Like, okay, so if these things are important, they need to be able to communicate that through an idea. Like, if a race is important, then we need race mechanics in the world, not as in races and beings, but as in like physically flying with each other.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that I found out is like there's lots of competition. There's like these ace pilots who are like, you know, always competing against each other. There's actually a race of people that hold a race. Like, we're gonna talk to. I'm not revealing that. That's secrets.
That's coming out. We'll release that.
But
the whole thing.
A race is a pretty important aspect, and one thing I haven't seen really done in a shmup that I know of is actually racing between two ships, and like I want to feel it. And like the cool thing is, so now we're going through like those corridor sections and like Gradius or R-Type where you have to dodge all the things, but you have someone else, and they're flying with you, and maybe like other aspects are coming in, and so like that is now a game mechanic that I really want to put in, and like I have to craft that because the narrative requires from it, and that's the cool thing about designing is. Some people, there's two large ways of designing a game, you know, bottom up and top down. So bottom up, you might think of a game mechanic and build a game from that. And I've done that many times, like Boss Forever is like that, like Sports Ball is like that, and that's really cool. But there's also the concept of top down, where you have an idea of the feel, and then you make that. And I prefer that method because then you don't think about genres and like systems and things like that. You think about an experience.
And you're servicing that experience the entire time. All the mechanics service that. That's
like building from the bottom up is cool because you can make something that feels really tight, but it feels more like a game or a toy, and that's great. Sometimes I want that, right? Like some companies are amazing with that. But that's not what Starr Mazer is. Starr Mazer is an experience. Like, when you design something, you think about the experience first. Everything from, like, I need to walk through a passageway, but sometimes I don't want things to go through a passageway. So you have to design a door. And you have to think about how that door opens, how people interact with it, right? And so when you're building from the experience, you generally get something that might not fit quite in a genre, but it works for that situation. And that ties into this whole concept of like, we're not building two games, we're building Starr Mazer, but it's just there are elements from flying, like playing in short games, there are elements from playing in PNCs that really like build upon this concept like, oh, these are good design elements. This will help us achieve the vision of Starr Mazer.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. It's going to be incredible to do, and I hope that will show. Getting to work with an incredible award-winning writer is really great too, because normally I'm writing my own stuff all the time. I've actually worked as a writer for other games, and there's a lot of work, man, and you start moving away from creativity and started getting into sort of methodological things, like how does this character speak under all the circumstances. I recently wrote, for a totally other game, one conversation that had 75 pages of dialogue, but the conversation was really just a few trees. It was just so many options that it was 75 whole pages of dialogue, and after a while it stops being able to be fresh. So having two people, having me ideate and having a really good writer be able to put those things into words, and then she can bounce things off and we work back and forth, that's a really enriching experience that I've not been able to rely on before. So that'll be cool too, expressing through artists these universes. Got another question?
Do you guys plan on making alternative endings?
Do we plan on making alternative endings? Every season, we're releasing the game in what we're calling a season. That doesn't mean that there has to be another one, or that we'll get to season 2 and promise season 3 and never do it. we're calling it a season just because it most easily expresses how the modular story bits inside, which we're internally calling episodes at this point, work. So a season is a collection of episodes. When you get the game, you might get X or N number of episodes, but your playthrough might only express 11 of them, even if there's way more than 11. So your story arc will have a logical start point, the open middle, which is what you've been expressing while you've been playing, and then one of a number of logical ends that meet the needs of all of those the episodes that are in it. So those will all drive the narrative toward multiple, one of multiple endings. We won't have infinite endings. We will have satisfying and good endings, but I look at it like the ending of a season of television or the ending of an episode. Watch Star Trek, for instance. You always end up back on the Enterprise. There's the guy, Captain Kirk or Captain Picard, depending on your generation, or Captain Janeway if you're awesome, sits on that chair and says, you know, now we're going to go to the next thing. And even though they were turned into aliens and they were flying, the universe cracked in half, or whatever, they ended, logically, they end in a what's next. Brick's story doesn't end. There are logical and comfortable resolutions to all of the story arcs through the game, but it has to be that when you're finished, you go have a pizza, you hang out with your girlfriend, you go to the movies, hang out with the boyfriend, you come back, you play the game again. It's a totally... Austin said it best, I think I heard him say it once, and it just stuck with me forever. It's like watching your favorite series, like one season of television, watching it all the way through, binge-watching it for 11 hours or something, and then taking a break and coming back and watching it again, but it's totally different this time. Same characters, same setups in some cases, same things you love already, but it plays through differently.
Yeah, I guess sort of a more mechanical way of thinking about it is like, if you took the episodes and put them in a different order, those events would affect the characters in a different way.
Right.
And that is literally what we are doing with the open middle gameplay system.
The short answer, yes, multiple endings, and multiple updatable endings. That's another thing that we want to kind of touch on. It is once we release the game, we're not done with the game. We're going to be dropping content. People have asked me what's the game most like, and I've jokingly said Minecraft. Because when you get the original beta of Minecraft, you can pick up a block and move a block. Then eventually you got adventure mode and horses and all. You can make computers. They just kept building. We want to keep building as well. We want to keep servicing Brick's narrative. And because of the event system being built the way it's being built, instead of dropping all, we don't have to drop a content pack. We don't have to drop 17 weeks of work. We can drop one little story element. And that will shuffle its way into your game and irrevocably change everything. And that could just be some writing, a few assets, some lines of recorded dialogue. By the way, every line of dialogue in the game is voiced, fully voiced by actors, some of them famous, some of them Elspeth Eastman, who's amazing.
Who's
some of them
doing a not yet announced stream tomorrow.
Not yet announced stream that you should pay probably
but you might want to watch.
Know about, but definitely want to watch. And some other people who also have big names who haven't been announced. We just get the content, we get the assets, we put all that stuff together. That's between a week and 2 months of work drop that in, boop, boop, and now every story ripples from that. If I add an element that didn't exist before but we had coded for, or in an update I can make sure that some of the story things do respond to that new element we've dropped in. So the game will constantly, you'll be able to experience that season of television new and novel ways every time you play through. And if the game's a smash hit, a million seller, and everything's great, and I buy 6 Ferraris, and Austin has his personal jet, we'll release season 2. It'll be the best. I'm not looking Ferraris or a jet.
Hold on. Hey, this might be a bit of a distraction, but I want you to tell them about your dream car. You told me. Can you tell them about your dream car?
I had this idea. No, my dream car is like a $19,000. I want a Fiat, one of those little Fiat things. So I drive around the city. I don't care about the money, man. I care about making cool
You can have
stuff.
anything. I asked him, like, what's the thing that you want? Like, those Teslas are really cool.
Teslas are pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah. A little car that gets like 45 miles an hour, or 45 miles to the gallon. It fits in half a space. I don't need to worry about it too much, and it's cute. That's my dream car.
Like, you'll pick the color.
Yeah. Graphite or something.
Yeah.
Black. What do you want? Yeah, new question? Is that what we're doing?
I want to know who's asking these questions.
Yeah,
I want
to say names.
I want to hear their
Got
names.
it.
These people are all important.
Everybody here is on Twitch. So
Awesome.
we got the next question from TCBIP
TCBIP.
Alright.
asking, could we have some more details about the Starr Mazer / Children of Morta crossover?
Yeah! Okay, this is super simple. I'm just going to say it.
Do it.
TCBIP wants to know the crossover, more details about Children of Morta crossing over with Starr Mazer. So we had a choice, Children of Morta and Starr Mazer. When we first started our Kickstarter run, we realized that we'd have two really beautiful pixel art games on Kickstarter at the same time. Were we going to be enemies or were we going to become friends? So we called them up, and they're really cool people. They're really cool. We're friends. We're already friends, no matter what happens. But we both have really interesting places. Morta is an ever-changing, dimensionally rifty mountain, right? And there's all this sort of reconfiguration of space constantly going on. It's a roguelike hack and slash, so it's Gauntlet, but like prettier and like with some cool RPG elements.
In a narrative.
Pardon?
Actual narrative.
In an actual narrative, yeah. Red child needs food bad.
Yeah, right.
But the gag is, who knows what can happen in that mountain. Brick Stonewood, our main character, flies as a Star Wolf in a triumvirate of threats. The Hollow Exeter space station in our game is between a giant gravity lensing nebula, a dying star, and a giant divide called the Baratha Divide. Yeah, the dying star is known only as the Fist. And there's this giant space divide with nothing goes in or out of. All of those are excuses for us to travel in and out of different places. They all bend dimensions in time and reality a bunch. So you got a mountain that bends time and reality. You got 3 different phenomena that bends time and reality. It seems really cool that Brick might end up in Children of Morta. You might have to get Brick a thing. You might need to help Brick out. It might be really cool that some of those Children of Morta end up wandering around that space station. Maybe Brick needs to help them out. Right now we are still in talks as to how exactly to express that, but we're going to do it. Only if both of us get funded. Right now, Children of Morta is asking for roughly half of what we're asking for. They seem to be
almost there.
They're almost there. They were at 97% like a couple hours before we started.
Really?
This. Yeah, so they're gonna hit it.
They're doing it.
Big ups to them. Hopefully they can successfully tell a bunch of people to join us, because we want to do that crossover. We want to get your Brick inside of that Morta, and we want to get
Mortar inside of your brick.
Morta inside of your Brick. It'll be great. No, but we're gonna announce a few other crossovers in the next week or so. We've got a bunch because
the
Halloween
all the beans.
I'm not. We didn't tell them what. But no, we
have
got
to figure out
some
the
crossovers.
details. So I don't want to say it too early.
Exactly. There's a bunch of details we have to work out. Everything's required details. If we're up to me, man, every single answer would be out there. All this, every just day one, boom, everything. But
we need to make sure it actually happens.
Right. The Children of Morta thing happening. We've talked at length about the actual integration. We have imagery for both sides. You can see we both have. We work out what Brick looks like in Morta, and we figured out what the Children of Morta look like. We have vastly different art styles, but they cohese well enough. Both of our team's artists are good enough to make that stuff work. So I hope that answered your question.
All right, next question is from Chanello, and apologies, guys, if I mispronounce any of your names. Would you say Brick is based off of any character? There's a mix of Spike Spiegel, Space Dandy, and Han Solo in him.
Chanello?
Yes, Chanello.
Chanello. Good name. Brick is based. I'm gonna cheat. Brick is he's a prettier, slightly dumber Han Solo. For sure. I had never actually heard of Space Dandy or what's Cowboy Bebop. I'm older than this guy. He knows nothing but.
I like him.
Yeah, I based it on, I was a child of the 80s, and they did this really cool thing in the 80s where they wanted all, like, the verve and life of Japanese animation, but TV networks were terrified that American audiences wouldn't understand Japanese animation because, frankly, admit it, it's pretty bonkers. I love it. I'm a huge fan. So they did this thing where they hired a bunch of Japanese animators to animate American-style or Western-style shows like Mask and Silverhawks and even G.I. Joe. People think that's an American show. That's an anime. G.I. Joe is an anime. It's done entirely by Japanese, and then the Japanese would hire out Koreans to do between keyframe stuff. It was completely Asian influenced. If you look at G.I. Joe the movie's intro, there's no question. That is an anime intro. Just the circle blaring and everything just going crazy. It's amazing. But they kept this Western style, and I kind of grew up with that with no idea. I was 9, I had no idea what was actually happening. I love that. Silverhawks is a great. That's just look at the space policeman with a cowboy hat and a metal bird and a guitar. That's incredible. Cops, Central Order Police Specialist, Mask, Thundercats. Those are my sort of visual cues, sort of over-exaggerated but westernized. That's my direct inspiration. Austin has other inspiration, and Christina, our artist, has been taking both of ours and filtering it through her version. But essentially, my 1/3 of the committed art style is those things. Austin's
Yeah, I mean, I come from like a very heavy anime background, so when I see Starr Mazer, I'm looking at an anime. Which is interesting because it comes from like these old things that were anime, but then like just sort of inspiring that idea. So yeah, like Cowboy Bebop's a huge influence for me. I haven't, sorry guys, I haven't seen Space Dandy yet, but I really want to watch it. I hear there are some similarities, so I'm very interested in checking that out. Don's more of a purist. Like he said he doesn't want to watch Cowboy Bebop until after we ship.
Yeah,
I really want to
watch it. I want to watch it a lot, but what I don't want to do is have. I want the story of Starr Mazer to express itself naturally, and I do not want to have somebody say, "Oh, you took that from X episode." And if they do say that, I have people say, "That's so obviously Space Dandy." I literally have never seen a picture of Space Dandy. When I've been told about it, I completely avoid, because that's the thing that came out of my brain. I want it to look like that. Our original concept artist, Jeremy Perrin, worked with me to create a dude. I don't know what his influences were. Maybe his influences were Space Dandy. I have no idea. To me, this is the guy we came up with, and I like him. I don't want it to be not soiled, but not influenced by other people until afterward. Once we've locked the thing, I definitely want to see this stuff. It sounds really cool. Hey team, we have a whole team just waiting off camera. You guys want to sit down and join us, maybe?
The answer is going to be yes. Come on over.
I'm embarrassing you in front of a live audience. You should all sit down. Look, we have a whole team.
They're all doing
just
work.
Us. This is Josh Gelb, this guy here. This is Mariah Zook right here. You guys met Vanessa already.
Yes.
It's all kind of whoa,
There you
yeah.
go.
So let's keep answering questions. But now we have a whole team. This isn't even the whole team. Kazuo, we want to peek in front of the camera. Kazuo is our social guy. He's actually there he is. He's running the whole thing. So this is where the backer money. People are like, well, why do you need so much money? I need to pay all these people.
We all need to eat.
I'm so hungry.
No, you're not.
Actually, no. Like when do we? I haven't eaten.
No, we haven't eaten today.
Peanut butter
though.
and bagels.
I ate a cinnamon raisin bagel.
I brought
with cream
cinnamon raisin
cheese.
bagels
That was
so
a dumb
we could have
decision.
food.
No.
Yeah, it was the worst. Move over. Yeah.
Anyway, this is
Yeah. So
Alright. Next question.
this is Vanessa now, and she's Josh. Josh Gelb. Mariah Zook. Anyway, next question.
Next question from Joysticks on Fire.
Joysticks on Fire.
How many hours is the campaign? Oh no, how many hours the campaign is it going to be?
So,
oh, sorry.
Joystick. I'll answer the first one first. Joysticks on Fire asks how many hours is the campaign meant to be. I want it to be between 10 and 15 hours, depending on your playstyle. I want it to feel good and long, but not like 90 hours long, because replayability is a big selling point for us. You can play for 90 hours. You'll play 9 different versions of the story.
Yeah, like there's things like the goal is for us to hit that 10 to 12, because that's like a good full experience.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of person who's just gonna play it once and also this great experience, but if you just play it once more, it'll be another 10 to 12 hours of a very different feeling game. Like even if you approach it the same way, you're going to encounter events in a different order, which will change the way other characters react. And so the characters will respond to you differently, even if you're the same type of brick.
Yeah.
Then you could do another playthrough where you play a different style brick, because people like to do that, especially on multiple playthroughs. And then that's going to be a vastly different experience. So if we build one thing that's like 10 to 12 hours, it's like 30 things that are like 300 hours. And then by the time you've played through all those, we've already dropped in a new piece of content, which is changing it.
That changes everything. Yeah.
There's a lot of hours,
Yeah,
but
so
you're going to get your feel-good 10 to 12.
We've worked out that we're going to have tens of thousands of lines of spoken dialogue recorded. Tens of thousands. We can do it.
But Don,
What?
how can you do that in a year? That's ridiculous.
I was
What
curious.
experience do you have?
We just
Is that much voiceover?
We participated in.
Producing.
How do we pronounce it? I always thought it was Ludum Dare because it's a dare.
Some people pronounce it Ludum Dare.
Dare. I don't know where it came from.
I say
Whatever.
Ludum Dare.
Ludum Dare. We participated. I participated with Robot Loves Kitty, actually, a totally other team for the Ludum Dare this year.
Yeah, gotcha.
Ludum Dare 31.
I'm not sure now.
And we recorded 1,200 lines of dialogue in 6 hours. We had 20 different characters. It was grueling, but we did it, and it was great. It actually was more than 6 hours because we had to write all of it, and that's in one 48-hour, 72-hour period. The writing of it took a long time, but the actual recording of it, this one, along with we had what, 5 actors, 6 actors.
Yeah, we had a number of people.
We went to a sound booth, just record.
Yeah, each person had like 4 characters,
Yeah.
and we just went crazy with
We had
it.
like 100 lines each. We also Imagos Softworks, that's us. most of these people, everybody but him,
Sorry, bro.
is actually also part of Imagos Films. We're a film company. We have access to all this stuff, all the contacts, all the famous people, all the good stuff. We make movies. You go check out imagosfilms.com, imagosfilms.com, and see all that cool stuff too. Lots of pictures of her, lots of pictures of her, lots of pictures of me, lots of pictures of that guy. Nearly no pictures of him. But Softworks, that's here. We have access to all this stuff.
Fine. I got my thing.
Yeah. So we can definitely do it. So that was the first question. Did he have another part?
Second part of the question is, what's
He or
going to
she,
rise
or
the
they.
replay factor?
What's going to rise the replay factor?
Correct.
I think we've answered that. I think
But
this
maybe
is an
they
old
didn't
school
hear
question.
it.
But I think this
I
question
think
is
these
probably
questions
like
are old.
chronologically old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Permutation,
They're wrong.
exponential ability to refactor story via content. If we get our wish and we have enough money to keep going, near infinite gameplay possibility until we stop. But every time we drop a new piece of content, it exponentially affects the world it's being dropped into. This sounds very complicated and pie in the sky, but actually,
When you watch this later or share it with your buddies and watch the beginning part where I talked about how we actually physically implement this,
it's
you'll know those
super
details.
simple. All the systems are tiny and stacked. It's a ripple effect. It's a pebble in the water. All the waves are really complex and all this other, but it's all just molecules following a simple set of rules bouncing against each other. We're just dropping pebbles.
Plus my brain.
Plus your brain.
Plus
And your brain.
science.
And a little bit of
And
science.
his brain.
A little bit of science.
Not my brain.
Brains.
All right, what's next, sir?
Next question is from Buncho.
Vuncho.
No, Buncho. with
Buncho.
E.
Get it right.
I have a question. Will the pause sound effect for Starr Mazer be as good as the pause sound in UN Squadron?
Better, way better. You know why? I have an answer for you. Why? Yeah. Who worked on UN Squadron's music and
I think it
sound?
was Minami Matsuma.
It was Minami Matsuma, and who's working on Starr Mazer?
There's a lot of people, but one of them
is Minami Matsuma.
Matsuma.
So yeah, it will be better. I will make an honorific challenge to Matsumae-san, and say our pause sound must be better. Must be.
It has to be.
Has to be.
For you, Buncha.
For you.
Jacob Purnell comments, how are you guys so cool?
Jacob Purnell. Who's that a-hole? Jacob Purnell is one of our guest musicians. He's incredible. We are so cool because we just spent, actually, a bunch of us went to PAX South and spent 3 whole days with Jacob Purnell.
Yeah.
Learning how to be really
I missed out
cool.
on this. It was the saddest 3 days of my
It was the bombest experience. We got to hang out with Jacob
I'm
Purnell,
so jealous.
Ryan Ike, Akash the car, which was like that's the
There was
triumph
some
of
Alex
awesome.
kid there.
Some
too.
Alex dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
Alex Moyer or
Meower.
Mero or
Meower.
Meower.
Alex Maurer, our sound guy. Also, the other owner of Imigo Softworks, who isn't here right now because he's in Philly. We're in Seattle. Yeah, he's in the land of awesome pizza. What else do we have, guys?
Next question is, will there be a weapon selection? This is from Heno Zero.
Heno Zero.
Will there be a weapon selection for the Star Wolf a la Gradius 2 and 3? If so, how many kinds of weapons?
Absolutely.
My answer is no.
What's the ally? Are we getting specific? Are we getting pedantic? How are
No, it's like pedantic. Because like you will have to buy pieces for your Star Mazer,
Right.
and you'll have to equip your loadouts, and then you'll get power ups while you're doing the ship. So I guess the answer is yes. But if you're thinking about how Gradius does it, where you pick a couple things, and that's way too small. You own the Star Wolf. You build a ship. You customize the rig. You go on a mission. You need to strap on like the Twin Sayer dual laser cannons for this mission, which is a highly volatile, risky thing. It might blow up your ship, but you'll do it anyway. So it's going to be vastly more interesting than the Gradius screen.
You'll be able to switch between them a la Gradius. It will be amazing.
Alright.
All right.
Next question from Otto-kun.
Otto-kun.
How did you guys come up with the name Starr Mazer? It's pretty unique.
Yes, it is. I can answer that directly. The original name of the game was Space Wolf. Because I was 9. Space Wolf! And the ship would actually, when it upgraded, it turned into the Space Werewolf. Which, when you're 9, is the best thing ever. The wings would like all transform, and it was basically Kit from Knight Rider. Like when it went turbo mode, like just shit would pop out of it. Like it was Space Werewolf.
I don't know. That's so pretty cool.
So it was originally Space Wolf. Can I put my leg down between you guys? I've gone too. There we go.
Too much splits?
Yeah, 2 inch splits. So Space Wolf then turned into Helix Nebula, which because that gravity lensing nebula started working its way into there as a story element, and it's in this weird helix situation where because it's two heavy masses in a big nebula, the center of it does this gravity lensing effect, which lets Brick be able to travel through time and space. That's a cool thing. So it was called Helix Nebula. Then it turned out that when I started pitching the game to a bunch of people, there was a Anamanaguchi song called Helix Nebula that everybody was like, oh my god, are they related? No, they're not related. So what could I call it? So I went back to my old book of names and cool things that I thought was really cool when I was 9. I found Brave Starr, which is really cool. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
No.
He's a Native American space sheriff with a medallion that lets him evoke the power of the panther and the spirit of the hawk. And back in the day, we thought it was really cool. It's a bit insensitive right now, but his name was Brave, Brave, obviously. Starr. I love that. It was somehow unique when I was 9, the Brave Starr thing. So I took the star thing. I always loved that idea, and we integrated it into the story. So the 2 R's are actually the only universal way to actually pronounce star is with 2 R's, and humans do it wrong. But yeah, there's a funny gag where one's asked how you actually speak with 2 R's. You just look up Brave Starr. It's so good. Brave Starr. You can't see that. Look it up though. Brave Starr is amazing. And then Mazer. So Mazer is a MASER is any device that emits any kind of directed electromagnetic beam, right? Ray. The sun itself is a maser. A laser is a subclass of maser. I love that term. I love the idea that putting something, shooting energy in front of you comes from a maser. But MASER sounds kind of, it doesn't look as cool, especially not to a 9-year-old. So I put a Z in there. I only found out later. Obviously, I read Ender's Game a few years after, and Mazer Rackham's in it. And I also found out very recently that a mazer, an MAZER, is like a clay drinking vessel for beer or mead or something, right? So I have this idea of having an old general drinking out of a clay vessel at the bar, and it's Mazer drinking Mazer, out of a mazer. He's drinking mead out of a mazer because mead is made of maize, or not mead, some other drink. Whatever. I'll make a big pun, but yeah, Starr Mazer. That's it started out as Space Wolf. The Star Wolf, Brick's ship, maintains obviously the Wolf moniker. But yeah, you'll find out during the course of the story that the Starr Mazer is actually an ancient weapon that will be used as kind of a linchpin for most of the story.
Alright. The Army of None asks, can you talk a bit about the soundtrack? How did you get my favorite band ever, the Proto-Men, involved? And how about Miss Megman composer and Vert?
Okay. I'll take this one too. Alex Maer, the other owner of Imago Softworks and collaborator on over 20 projects with me, and also a close personal friend, he is a musical legend. If you haven't heard of his name, Alex Maer, you've heard of his music. If you watch Penny Arcade Television, he did all the music for the first 3 seasons. He also did the music for the last 2 copies of the game. Sorry to keep kicking you. I'm kicking both of you. No, I'm kicking both of you. He's the first guy ever to release an album entirely on an NES cartridge. He's a genius. He knows how to work the sound chips for game systems incredibly well. He's super cool, and he's super well revered within the game music industry. Every single one of those people on that list you see know who Alex Maer is. You might not have heard him, but you definitely heard his music. And a lot of you probably know exactly who I'm talking about. But artists know who he is, and that's a huge boon when you want to talk to some really cool people. They don't know who I am. I'm just some random bro. I'm not going to send them an email, but if they get an email from Alex Maer, it's a big deal, and they'll look at it. And then we told them what we're doing. We sent them concept art. We sent them all kinds of really cool stuff. Luckily, the Proto-Men, your favorite band, is actually working with Imagos Films on a secret project I'm not supposed to be talking about. So there's that too. That kind of helped. But yeah, Matsumai-san received a bunch, like a kit of concept art and a video and all that sort of stuff, and we crossed our fingers and hoped it looked good to her, and her response was, yeah, it looked good. It reminded her of UN Squadron. She wanted to get back into doing some more action-y title, spaceship action-y titles, so that was really cool. Everyone else kind of jumped on board basically for the same reason you guys are watching us talk right now. They saw the video. They saw the game we're making. They saw the commitment that our team has put into it. A bunch of them are producing. You've already seen a couple videos come out. A bunch of people are producing these videos for us to show you their interest. We know that Cheap Dinosaurs just did one. It was incredible.
Awesome.
We launched a monomer one today. Oh, mind explode. These are people committing because they see our commitment. They see the love that we're putting into the game, and we're also working out. They get to work on a cool thing, and we get to work with cool people on a cool thing. So effectively, the same reason you came to the Kickstarter is the reason that they're joined up. They're interested in taking part in this cool thing. We don't see backers as just some random faceless people who threw a bunch of money into a pot somewhere. Every single one of you are making this game. We're going to be executing the game for you. We can't do it without you. You can't have this game without us, that's for sure. But you definitely are formative in our ability to actually make the game. These artists get to pitch in a different way. Some of them have actually donated to the game as well, which is baffling. It's amazing. I love it. They want the game that they're part of. Like, I kind of want to tell them we're not giving them free copies because they did. Some of them. No, I'm kidding. But it's I am honored to know that I can show this video. We didn't send big bags of money. We don't have it. That's why we're asking for money. We didn't send. I don't know. We sent our concept stuff, the videos. Hey, we really like your stuff. If you see anybody on there from the label Telefuture, those are my personal picks. I sent love letters with all our concept stuff and said, you guys, I'm in love with your work, and I've been listening to it while writing, and a lot of the sections of the games were inspired by this stuff. Of course, the more well-known names out there, the Proto Men, Vert, obviously, Shovel Knight, man, I cannot get it's stuck in my head till I die. It will be there forever. And Matsumai was also on that as well. So it's just we took a chance. We looked for the people that we were inspired by and asked them if they would be inspired by us. And all but one person responded positively, and that one person also responded positively, but just has way too much work. Way too much work. He gave us all we wish you the best luck, and we'll talk later. But it's just this big like group hug of art that's fueled by other people also committing what they can. So that was a very long-winded answer, I think, but I kind of get mushy about it because it's pretty cool, man. The Proto Men are one of my favorite bands as well. So they weren't for a while. I'd like to point out that I had to be convinced because if you can't see it, but behind you, actually right there you can see this. I've got the Mega Man blaster. I'm a huge Mega Man fan. Behind you is a wall covered with
This blanket.
Oh, the Mega Man blanket. The wall is covered with Mega Man vinyls. I was at very first, and this is a while ago, but I was turned off by the deviation from the canon narrative. The music was great. I didn't know what I was listening to because it doesn't relate to Mega Man, the story, directly. So when I first heard it at a PAX and was very impressed with it. And then I found out that it's a deviation from the canon, and I got very like Star Trek nerdsy about it because I'm also a giant Star Trek nerd. And I was like, no, you can't. The story goes this way, and I hate anything that. But then I was convinced by this guy that I'm working with to kind of give it a listen.
I've only been to like 6 of their concerts, so I really need to up that number. But I kind of. They're a cool band.
And outside of their music and outside of their adherence to canon or whatever, they're the coolest dudes.
They're super cool
as
people.
human beings, just the best. So, that's that. And Vert's awesome. Vert publicly stated that when he was told about the concept of Starr Mazer, he was immediately turned away. He did not like the idea of a shmup and a point and click.
It's just not right.
Stapled together.
It's just not right.
It doesn't work. But then we showed him. And he tweeted this like yesterday. He was instantly convinced because he saw that we're not stapling two things together, man. Mario's gonna swim.
We're making Star Wars.
Mario's swimming.
Mario's swimming. Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right, this is a question more for Austin from
Boom.
Max Ticket. This is the first time I've seen Austin not wearing his sexy white jeans.
Oh.
What gives?
Snap, yo.
All right, so I'll give a little back.
You got called out. You got the black jeans today.
Yeah, I actually wear other pieces of clothes. If you ever see me at a convention, you don't know that I wear other pieces of clothing. So, Imigo Softworks is being really cool because they're hiring 2DX on to make this project. So we have 2DX as things. That's like my company that I do, and we've made games, and I've been making games even outside of 2DX for a long time. We have a thing that we do. 2DX is two guys.
Sit up for a second.
And we have one of us. I wear like a blue shirt with a white tie, and the other guy wears the white shirt with a blue tie. And so we have this sort of like deal. If you look at our Twitter icons, you can see that that's our outfit. And I don't know, we just have this like style we like. But like I don't wear that every day. I have other interests in other clothes that I
He
like.
actually wears this every day.
No,
Actually,
not every day. I like fashion. I'll talk about, if you want to talk about fashion, hit me up on Twitter and we'll talk.
He has
about
this
fashion.
really cool sweater hood thing he's got with this like sort of mantly neck
tube
thing. It's like a tube.
Can you-
He looks like he's from space.
You see, like I wear Argyle socks.
The Argyle
That's a
socks.
thing.
That's legit.
I will talk about fashion all day.
Non-matching.
So I will make sure that there are very fashionable characters in Starr Mazer, because fashion's cool. It's an
Yeah.
interesting thing. You get to express certain
Space
concepts and certain
fashion.
ideas.
The Fifth Element style.
Yeah.
This orange rubber.
Oh, yes.
Masking
What's
tape.
next, Kaz?
What's next is a question from TCBIP. The story seems to be very important in Starr Mazer.
Yes.
Will the game be translated or subtitled for players around the world?
The story is super important, TCBIP, absolutely. And the very, very logical question is, how do we express that story universally? Two options. First, we make a boatload of money on this Kickstarter and can do the translation ourselves. Not ourselves, we hire an agency and we can vet it and be really nice about it for localization. That's option number one. Option number two, and this has already been offered to us, is we go with the publisher immediately. We just sign with them, yes, sign the rights away, and then they will handle localization. Unfortunately, unless $3 million falls out of the sky, we're not going to be able to record the voices in every possible language, unless it's the coolest game ever and sells 1 billion trillion copies. It will be the coolest game ever. I'm just talking about the sales. But we'll definitely have subtitles. Every single dialogue has subtitles anyway. I'm toying with the idea. It's on my list of things to consider or jump off of a bridge. Having you able to turn off the actual audio dialogue. I went through like 7 old adventure games and it seems to be a consistent option. I don't like it, but I imagine if you're playing it at work,
I will put it in. I'll put
it'll
that
go-
in. For
It's
you.
on my
I'm gonna
list.
have to
It's
tell
on my
you.
list.
I'm
It's
sure
on my
we'll
list.
put it in.
So
Accessibility.
accessibility, totally. But you'll always see the words. We have our own custom font. It looks really great in our game. You're always going to get the dialogue. So that can always be subtitled or over the head titled, chat titled, thought titled. Not just subtitles at the bottom. So localization is super important to us. Accessibility is super important. We will make it happen. It just depends on the avenue we take to get it done. It might be that a publishing deal down the line looks good for us specifically because of things like localization and export and that sort of stuff.
Alright, next question is from Switch382. One of my favorite all-around genres of games were LucasArts, point and clicks, Full Throttle, Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
Monkey Island, etc. Super excited to have this genre still being supported. How much of the game is adventure versus bullet dodger?
I'm going to let you take this one. I've been talking a lot, and also I'm sick of answering this question.
0%, because it is Starr Mazer. It is
Yeah.
not a point-and-click adventure with point-and-click adventure levels and a shmup with shmup levels. It is a Starr Mazer experience that you are playing as Brick, who has to fly a Starwolf and interact with characters and buy items and customize your ship and deal with scenarios and fly through space. So. But to get into a little bit more detail, the amount of time you spend in the cockpit of the Starwolf or in a bar or floating on a space asteroid in a spacesuit, that's going to be largely up to you. Because every decision of the game comes throughout your actions, and we pay attention to those actions, the world reacts to those actions, you will be able to curtail your experience. Yes, throughout the game, I don't know if there will be a way... I don't know right now if there will be a way to play through without going into Starwolf, or if to play the game with stepping out of Starwolf. That doesn't seem like something that will happen.
That's not a thing that I personally want to the game has flying around in a spaceship. That's part of the game.
It is part of the game.
You can't get through Mario without swimming.
But if you are all about interrogating people, talking with people, hiring other people to do dirty jobs for you, like, jumping up on other ships as opposed to flying your own, like Star Wolf, to get across the galaxy, you will have those options. And you can make it majority a slower paced narrative game. If you're the type of ace pilot who doesn't even want to talk to someone and just, go in there guns blazing, like, you will have those options. And the game will sort of fit to that experience. Of course, it's a game with consequences and choices, so we'll throw all sorts of curveballs at you.
Yeah.
But it'll be largely customized by your actions.
Right. So we can't come hard with an actual percentile.
Yeah.
Because it's based on you.
It's based on you.
Yeah.
Greater than 1%.
Yeah. Greater
less than 100%.
100%. Yeah, exactly. So.
All right. Next ticket asks, are there any classic games or genres that you really wanted to lampoon in the game, but haven't figured out how, or haven't figured out a way to?
Lampoon, like bring in?
Or make fun of. Lampoon is to make fun of, but I think he means to bring into the game. No, because again...
Clarify that if you want.
Yeah, you can clarify it if you want in the chat, but if you're asking if there's anything else we wanted to staple in, no, because we're not stapling two genres together. Look, it is born in the idea, Starr Mazer was born in the idea in my little kid brain, that I really liked playing shmups, but hated that there wasn't a good story. I really loved playing point-and-click adventures, and hated that there wasn't enough action. I didn't conceive at that point, wouldn't it be cool to just stick them together? In fact, that was actually a problem. I would go from my console to my PC, back and forth, and that interrupted flow, that interrupted story, they didn't tie together, it wasn't fun. We're not making that, I'm not replicating the experience of having to go to the TG16 for shmups and the 386 DX2 Turbo with a turbo button for Space Quest, Space Quest 4. We're not doing that. We're making the dream game that I had when I was a kid. We're making the idea that there's a game that has both really cool action and really cool story. You can express story through a billion different ways to tell a story. You can express action through a billion different ways to express action. I personally like flying around in a spaceship shooting stuff and point-click adventure style interaction with your environment. So I'm making a single game with those two mechanics expressed. The idea wasn't, hey, let's take different disparate things and staple them together. We could come up with a billion more comically humorous genres to throw together in a big mix. I even made a joke once. I tweeted or something like I wanna mix cardboard cutout dating sim and turkey basting game. Like that would have been fun. But no, it's not fun. That's just silly. We're not trying to make a silly game. Yeah, it's humorous and comedic and that's just funny. But we're not just taking two things and stapling them together. I keep doing this. I'm gonna hurt my knuckles eventually. I don't know. There's like open hands outward. I don't know. Other questions?
Alex Maer has joined the conversation.
Alex Maer has joined the conversations!
Awesome. He asks, how many cutscenes will there be?
Enough, right?
A fair amount. The cutscenes are going to be used as like high-minded storytelling moments. We're fairly cinematic. We want you to control most of the stuff. Definitely getting in and out of the Star Wolf is going to be under your control. But sometimes we want to I like throwing back to Another World is a great example of cutscene narrative used sparingly but boom effectively. That's the kind of stuff we're going to do. It's going to be there. It's going to sound good. It's going to look good. It's going to be hand-drawn, hand-animated. It's going to be super sexy, but it's not going to be... I think for each story episode, there's probably a 50% chance of you getting us writing in a cutscene animation, like an actual animation. There's going to be story being expressed the entire time. Even during the Star Wolf sections, there's going to be story being expressed. You can talk your way out of one of our bosses, for instance. That was something we were toying with. You can use items that you gain in both places. But as far as cutscene goes, they're not cutscenes as much as they're support scenes. We're not going to have quick time events. We're not going to have any kind of thing like that. They will be really cool. We'll throw them in where they support the story the best. But there's going to be a bunch of them. Thanks for the incredibly difficult question to ask 2 weeks into proper development after 3 months of working on a concept, Alex Maer, co-owner of Imigo Softwares. Also jerkbag.
Update. Rated E with Elspeth is now hosting us.
Woo! We are now on Rated E for Elspeth.
Thank you,
good.
Elspeth.
Thank you, Elspeth Eastman, who also is a major character in the game Starr Mazer. The voice of a major character. She herself is actually a major character in real life.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
she's the voice of one of the major characters in Starr Mazer. We are not revealing what that is yet, mostly because we're still working out some cool story things and want to utilize Elspeth's trillion talents.
Yeah, she's a very impressive voice actress and streamer. Actually, you should totally check out her channel, Rated E with Elspeth, which is hosting us right now. So you can even go to that channel right now, and you'll still see us.
We're gonna be there. We're everywhere.
Yeah, but
we're in your toilet right now.
She's an amazing, awesome
It's just there.
But totally check out her stuff. She has a huge YouTube channel. She's very active on Twitch. She's just an amazing person. You can like hang out with her when you're on Twitch. So go meet her. Find out about her cool other voice that she does, like in League of Legends. She's like a celebrity. Or something.
She's gonna announce 2 things this week.
Yeah.
League of Legends and some other dumb game.
Some other little retro
time.
whatever.
Point and click adventure shmup or something, but they take 2 genres and staple them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you should pay attention to her stream. She's got some things to talk about.
And there might be stuff happening tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if you get an update tonight because you backed us, you'll get some. I don't know. Who knows?
Alright, before we get on to the other questions, Alex Maer says, Wink told me to say the emoticon to you guys directly.
He did. He winked. I saw it.
Yeah,
he
we
winked
can
at
feel
us.
it from Pennsylvania.
Just feel that wink.
A Philly wink.
A Philly wink.
A Philly wink.
And Elspeth is actually here
What?
in the chat.
She's there.
What? Elspeth, hello.
You can just talk to Elspeth.
Elspeth, why don't you return my calls? I'm kidding.
Alright, so back to the questions. Heno0 writes, the mock-ups have shown the score in the adventure sections.
Yes.
Will adventure sections also contribute to your score?
Oh yes, except it's not. The mock-ups are mock-ups. A lot of the gameplay is they're older. We're iterating. We're making new stuff. That will get into the guts and butts system. I want to get through some more questions.
Yeah. Well, if you're a backer right now,
Yeah.
in the most recent update or the update before, you can see an updated UI that has that a little different.
Yeah.
And we're still making it like it hasn't even passed the artist. I made that.
Yeah.
Christina she didn't even see it. That was my design concept thing. So it will look way better. But yeah, you can get a sneak peek at what the UI is going to look like a little bit more.
We want to come up with a way to express score in a usable way, as well as a traditional way. One of my favorite parts of score in shmup is that, and granted, I'm not talking about Starr Mazer. I'm talking about a shmup and a PNC, different games. Not Starr Mazer, but in shmups, finishing that thing, having your ship explode, and then putting your name in, that's a moment. That's a little childhood boom from D-O-N. They always ask for 3 letters. My name is 3 letters. That's the best. I win. And in point and click adventures, I loved you get the little doo-doo-doo, and you see your score go up, even if you didn't know exactly what you did. Now we're not going to be as esoteric as that. You're going to know what you did, but you'll get that little doo-doo, you did a thing and see the score. But it's not going to be just to score those points.
It's not like, I got good points.
Yeah.
No, it's
you're
got
able to use that
being
stuff.
a hero.
We're going to talk about it, but you're going to be able to use all of those things together. They're going to be able to reflect the mechanics that we kind of took the fun parts from, but they're also going to be their own Starr Mazer thing.
All right. Abby Daring writes,
Abby Daring.
in writing Brick's story and his world, did you have to narrow it down to fit it into the game, or are you able to tell most of the story that you wanted to?
We are, at this point, aiming to tell the story we want to. Because of the fact that the story is so multiply permeable, you're going to get you're going to get versions, reflections of that story every time you play it through. There's a giant overarching story of what it means to be a hero. Brick, at the beginning of the story, very much thinks he's a hero. I mean, he's tall, he's handsome, he's got a gun, ladies dig him. So obviously,
he's the best guy.
he's the best guy. It's all you need. No, that's not true. You actually need, that might not even actually be anything to do with being a hero. There's a whole world of choice and cause and effect and actual interaction and social equity and all this stuff that needs to be managed to be an actual hero in a modern age. And that's what Brick has to get through. That's something we need to express in a fun, entertaining, and exciting manner with Brick. We were starting with a guy who's 130 years out of his element. We're going to throw him into a world where his machismo doesn't automatically win him all the awards. and watch him deal with that. Watch you, as the player, help Brick figure out what it means to be a real hero, save the universe, save multiple universes, save Morta.
All of the universe.
All of the universes.
Universi.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we think we're going to be able to hit it. And I hate to sound evangelical, but we're running a Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to sound evangelical. The more resources we have, the more easily it will be for us to express this. Our major concern isn't being able to tell a good story at $160,000. We can, as stated earlier, and if you haven't seen
that's the set number.
that's why it's a set number. But it's being able to express more. The more resource we've got, the more elements we can throw in. If you remember what we described earlier, every element we put in there changes the story exponentially. The more elements we drop in, the bigger and better the story becomes. So if we hit 160, we're making a game, and it's going to be incredible. If we hit 170, we're getting our way to consoles, but we're also throwing in more story, more fun, more Brick. So that's up to you guys.
Alright, Ryark writes a question that has already been answered. Maybe you can paraphrase it. Is there any inspiration from other games that caused the creation of Starr Mazer?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of point-and-click adventure games that were sad that they didn't have enough action. A lot of shmup games that I really wanted to see good stories in. What I wanted did not exist. We're making that now. We're not making a shmup game with point-and-click adventure elements or a point-and-click adventure game with shmup elements. We're making a new game that shares mechanics with other popular genres that don't satisfy, or at least didn't satisfy me. If you want a list, I think what I'm probably going to do is in the comments when we post this, I'll post a list of things that inspired me. Maybe have Austin post a list of the things that inspired him, and then we'll get Christina, our artist, who's probably asleep right now in Greece, to post her version of the list as well, and you guys can go over and you'll see all of the influences come out. They exist, but that's as paraphrased as I get.
Alright. Laser Kid writes a new question.
Laser Kid is the best kid. I love that name. You win. Laser Kid is one
Laser
name.
Kid in the game.
I am making an official request right now on the internet to use a character named Laser Kid in the game.
Let us know if we can name someone Laser Kid.
Yeah, you don't get to. You can choose who that is if you back us at the right level.
Yeah, we can customize Laser Kid.
But we're gonna just
I
name
wanna-
somebody Laser Kid.
Yeah.
Alright. If you do decide to do a sequel, how do you plan to continue off a variable ending and middle?
Again, as I pointed out, the ending of the season is going to end with Brick. You basically have.
Don't give anything away.
No, I'm being super not granular. Check it out. Brick either dies and you ruin the game, or Brick survived and continue his story. Right? His story will tend to center on the Hollow Exeter Station. So.
Like Indiana Jones,
Like
right?
Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones always goes back to school. You start the movie, he's in school, with girls with the eyeball, I love you across the eyeballs, hitting on him. That's Indiana Jones. The Enterprise always starts out leaving the station or flying around in space. It's just a Tuesday on the Enterprise, then holy shit, the Borg. So the next season, the next iteration, the sequel would be, there's the Brick you know, who is now a space hero, obviously, by whatever means he became a space hero. Bigger threats, bigger things that will come out. Of course, with a sequel, what we'd love to do is make the biggest version of coming back to this universe that we can. But we can't think about that yet. Right now, we have to think about the game. Starr Mazer itself. We're already going to be releasing a whole bunch of content to influence the size and shape of the released season of Starr Mazer. So for a sequel, we would just try to turn everything up to 11. I recently got a chance to play Hotline Miami 2.
You played it.
I played it.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Oh
I'm
God!
jealous.
It's basically everything up to, like, that stuff's already at 11. It's at
Yeah.
22.
Ah.
Everything's turned up to 22. You can't imagine a sequel, but it's 22. That's what we would like to do. But we need to go through a full development cycle and figure out exactly how Starr Mazer works and doesn't work. Release something really awesome for you, and then we can answer that question a little bit better in the future.
So Mariah, make sure we ship something.
Yeah.
So Mariah is one of the producers. She's the associate producer. She's being very quiet, which is ironic because most of the time she's telling us what to do. Yeah, she meows and yells. Those are the two things she knows how to speak in: meowing and yelling. She was also Swift Thornbrook from the Sports Ball live-action commercial. There she is. That's her.
She did an incredible job.
Incredible.
Oh, stop it.
All right.
That's all I got.
More questions.
Alright, next question. Also, Laser Kid has responded. He said, or she said, they would be honored if you use their name.
Yay.
Awesome.
That's got somebody
Laser
that's
kid.
going in, right? The producer is going to put it on a task. It will be literally a task. We'll go through our pipeline, development pipeline. It will be
Design laser.
Iterate. One of the iterations will include Laser Kid.
Yes.
The name. If you want an NPC, man, that costs money. Go to the Kickstarter.
You gotta
Back it up.
support us.
Yeah, you gotta support.
You
us.
want the
Laser Kid's probably going to be a sentient piece of poop. Just letting you know. Unless you back us up. I'm kidding. Not poop.
No.
We call it feces in game.
Yeah.
Because poop is too general a term.
I feel like Shia LaBeouf. In the third
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. Or the fourth,
A piece of
terrible.
poop.
A piece of
A piece of poop.
talking.
Anyway, there was a question that was
Yes.
going to get asked.
There's another question. This one from the Army of None for Vanessa.
Ooh, wow!
What are some inspirations you're hoping to bring in as a writer,
Should
story
we take the
editor?
middle again?
Do you want up here, actually?
Mount your throne and reveal to them your inspiration.
my
What
God.
inspirations have you? Do you like science fiction? Do you like the space?
Well, I
Do
mean,
you explore the physics?
oh God.
Here we go.
Well, I'm a huge science.
camera. She's terrified of being in front of the camera,
It's
so we're gonna make fun of her a little
very
bit, just a little bit. She's a writer. She hides behind a typewriter and Doritos, and a pizza costume. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of science fiction in general. I grew up on Star Trek and Quantum Leap and fucking anything I could find that resulted in space. I read a lot of Ray Bradbury and Heinlein, and it's kind of, I mean, I'm inspired by the people I'm working with, though. I mean, most of all, like, Dawn has created this amazing universe, and what I want to do is just make it fun and interesting and have really compelling characters in it. I don't know, like, the Man Out of Time story you can find in so many different stories, and I don't want to, like, steal it and steer it in one specific direction, but yeah, there will probably be a little bit of, like, something I've seen in the things I've read or watched, or, you know, like a little bit Quantum Leap, but a little bit, you know, like, you never know. I'm not, I don't know, like, it's hard because, like, all those things have shaped who I am as a person. So
You might like not necessarily think about it.
yeah, I
because it's just who you
haven't
are.
exactly. I haven't really, like, sat down and been like, yeah, like, I've seen, unlike Dawn, I've seen Cowboy Bebop, but, like, I'm not sat there being like, yes, it's definitely gonna be that. No, it's just like, okay, cool, this is gonna be a really fun story, and we're gonna take this, and all there are aliens and pizza people, and, like, it's gonna.
Did you just reveal it?
I didn't say
No, keep going,
Did you
keep going.
reveal
I
it?
didn't say
Move along.
anything.
Nothing.
So I think it'll be more like from, like, our day-to-day life, or the interesting things that we talk about in conversations, and on the Twitch TV and streaming stuff. Like, you know, we're gonna be getting
Well, we're getting inspired already, like
Yeah.
a laser kid.
Yeah, Laser
Just
Kid's in the
being
game.
a
We just
beacon.
changed the
Laser
game.
Kid.
She drew
You're
the label.
right here.
So
I didn't
keep
draw it.
interacting with
I wrote
us.
it.
Come on to the
You drew
Starr
letters.
Mazer TV channel whenever we're doing things.
Yeah, we're
because
gonna be
apparently
doing
you
this
just
a bunch.
existing changes the game.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing Starr Mazer TV. Sorry to replug it, but we're going to be doing Starr Mazer TV.
This thing.
This thing we're doing right now, nearly every day. Probably not every day because we have, like, actual work to be doing, but every time we can, we're going to hop on here. Sometime Kazuo and I are just going to sit down and play video games, and you can yell at us when we play video
Which
games.
is research.
And, pardon? Which is research.
Research,
Totally.
yeah.
Even if it is just Catherine we're playing. But no, we're gonna play video games. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have either big group meetings or just two of us talking stuff out. If we see consistent questions online, we'll address them here. So keep coming back to Starr Mazer TV. You will be able to change the flow. There are some things we're gonna not change. Well, I'm not gonna make it a pachinko game. Right? It's not gonna be.
Really?
Yeah, Starr Mazer pachinko. I mean, we might have a
Sounds
licensed
so much
pachinko
fun.
product in the future.
I'm writing it in.
Starr Mazer Pachinko.
Yeah.
If
Like,
you
you
go into
go-
Akihabara, Japan,
Yeah.
you can go play Starr Mazer.
Starr Mazer. It's just called Laser Kid.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So
All right. Next up from TCBIP. What are the-
TCBIP loves asking questions.
Man, I love TCBIP.
You're the best.
Will there be Steam achievements and console equivalents for Starr Mazer? If so, what kind? Funny ones and possible ones for story progression?
That's a big question. Yes,
Announced?
all of the above. I'm sorry, nothing to be announced. Nothing's been announced yet. We hope to, absolutely. Those things, a lot. I'm reading a lot of forums. I'm that guy. Unfortunately, it's my game, right? So whatever somebody posts in the forum,
Anything.
I get all super excited and I like go read. And I'm not supposed to. Are you leaving?
I'm stinking.
You got work to do. Okay, so I've got
Thank you.
Mariah Zook is sneaking away to do actual work. I read all the forums and I get really offended and hurt and it's the worst and I cry. And
I wish you wouldn't.
it's the worst. So one of the things people keep saying is like, why don't they just, or like, why don't developers understand that the 3DS is more popular? You should just develop for that. Well, because it's actually nearly impossible to build for the 3DS first and then everything else. That's not. I love the 3DS. It's one of my favorite systems. But we're not holding the stretch goal for the 3DS isn't there to like screw Nintendo. It's there because it's what it's going to actually cost to get the whole game rebuilt to fit the 3DS. There are decisions like that. Achievements. Why aren't they just achievements? Why aren't you guys just achievements? Well, because coding achievements is complex itself. Number two, integrating different achievement systems, following requirements and standards set by different platforms. All these things are complicated and difficult and are basically big walls put between a developer and a release. Yes, I want achievements. Achievements are one of my favorite things in games. I want story-based achievements. I want achievements that make you like hack at the game for like 400 hours. I want achievements that you get from being the baddest pilot. I want them to be on the Xbox One. I want trophies on the PSN. I want the cross-platform trophies. I want Steam achievements. I want these. I do. I, as the guy whose game it is, wants all these things. How realistic it is for us to get those things done in the time we've got and the budget we've got is the question. The reason we announce things in time, again, is not for some false sense of rarity, but because we need to figure out what it costs, what it takes. We didn't announce consoles until we were sure we were licensed and able to actually deliver what we say we deliver with the console manufacturer's support. We talked to all of them, got it all worked out. Now we can announce consoles. The minute we know we can do achievements the way we want to do them, which again is everything, we'll let you know. But yeah, we intend to. Of course we do. I do want to like kind of squash the idea that we're just holding things back and making ridiculously dumb decisions, though. We're super not. If you want a thing in the game, unless it's something ridiculously like outlandish, we probably want it too. We're not trying to exclude anybody or keep anything down. We are trying to do something very ambitious. The money we've asked for, if you just look at actual game budgets, I mean, the last Call of Duty, granted, totally different game, it was like $500 million budget. We're asking for $160,000 to cover less than half of the game. And we are trying to do big, ambitious stuff. That's another problem. People keep it seems ambitious. Yes, it's super ambitious. We got a team of 9. We're taking scratch for pay. We're gonna slave to make the best thing. Art is born through adversity. This is adverse, but also something that we're all equipped to do. You've been trying to say something for like 10 minutes.
Sort of just like back on that whole achievement thing. Like there are aspects of achievements that I'm really excited for, but like one thing I want to say is like, yeah, we have experience and we are crafting it, and like we have a goal with this. But you guys are backing us. You guys are supporting us. If you want to see things in it, like let us know. There's a good chance that we have already like not only thought of it but figured out where it fits and how to integrate it. But there's also a chance that we didn't think of something that you think of, and it could be freaking awesome, right? Like I haven't played all the obscure cave shmups, and there could be some bizarre mechanic in there that's gold that I just haven't experienced yet. So like. Send us ideas, thoughts, absolutely.
Do it.
Will those go in the game? We'll find out. There'll be testing, there'll be iteration, we'll pick the absolute best mechanic, the best experience for Starr Mazer. But I am totally down for hearing whatever suggestions, especially achievements, because there can be so many of them. And I love like those hidden achievements.
Oh, yeah.
When the game like recognizes that you did something because they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this weird thing, and the game's like, oh, congratulations, you found this thing that no one knew about. Like that's incredible. That always feels good.
I love in Gate of Thunder, there are all these, every time you see like a right angle that's nearly impossible to get to, you'll find a 1-up in there. And it's hard to get to, and things are whipping by, and it's really hard. It's so good.
Yeah,
it feels so good.
The design is you're like, oh,
you did this. You did this.
Good job.
I hate to sound super evangelical, though. Money will help a great deal. I'm saying this only because we're trying to fund, obviously through Kickstarter. But the more money we have, the more free we are to do all the things you want us to do. We want to do it too. So help us out. We have another question.
All right. This one, I believe the name is BO26. It is BOXXVI.
BO26.
For the Star Citizen Pledge tier,
Yeah.
what kind of restrictions are there on what kind of NPC we can design? Sci-fi, obviously, but for example, I have a robot designed, but I'm not sure if I saw any sentient robots.
This is good.
There's a sentient robot.
She's an android. No, she's a cyborg.
Okay, all right.
That's a good question, BO26. We will work with you very closely on how the NPC works. We want to get you, unless it's just like Dick Man made of dicks. We're probably gonna
Probably won't.
probably not gonna do
We
Dick
can
Man
do
made
it.
of dicks. Stop! Don't say that out loud.
Do
We
it.
can't- she's a writer. She doesn't know. I'm kidding.
Come on, we did.
Stop! Shh, don't leak everything.
No. It's something that's pre-leaked.
What?
Is that one question?
Ah, yeah, we'll get into that later. No, but check it out. Robots are a good question. Robots actually play a very, very strong role in the history of Starr Mazer. That what you just pitched, the idea of having your character be a robot NPC, you've already built.
There's a core element of the Star Wars experiment that I bet your character would be perfect for.
Perfect for. So we will accommodate people with their random ideas or really well thought out ideas or whatever. But something like a robot, no restriction there. We're probably not gonna have any restriction unless it's super offensive or super lame. And if it is super lame, we're probably gonna say, bro, the guy who sits at the desk and just eats peas and doesn't do anything all day probably needs some compelling. Maybe you need to go find the best peas or something.
Fortunately, we have a writer to help make your character amazing.
We'll flesh it all out. But the robot thing, you just hit on something that we haven't really talked much about, which is yes, put the robot NPC, make him special. It will be incredible.
We want to put your robot in the game.
We want your robot in the game.
All right. Next question. It's me, Zool. Asks, can you guys?
Zool. There is no Dana, only you.
What's Zool as in Z-I-U-L?
Oh,
Never mind.
forget it. Sorry.
Can you guys talk about the main enemy? What's up with this the Gel alien race? How did you design them, and what was the original inspiration?
This is that 3-hour story.
You have
There's a
to
story
not
that'll be
tell
exposed
the
in the game.
We're gonna do an update
I'm
about.
not going to tell any of the story. The Gel are a race, a beautiful, ancient, far more ancient than humankind race that intersected with humankind sometime in the far past. It was not a good situation, and when they found the opportunity to attack humankind again, they did. Even though the humankind has been mostly devastated, they in this iteration mix biological expression with their weapons, so everything's sort of sleek and biomechanical. But they're not necessarily the main enemy. They might be the red herring enemy. There might be a big story element that tells you, oh man, there's something bigger going on. There might be. I don't know.
Might be. He's not confirming anything.
I
I
can
know.
shit.
I just.
You guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
8-Bit Forever writes, can you guys give us details on any first and or third-party development tools you are using?
Sure.
I can talk about things. So
Yeah.
the primary thing that we're using is Unity, which is a totally awesome tool. If you are a game developer or aspiring game developer, you can actually download it for free and use it. I am trying to expose a lot of the development process. We actually already released an article and some open source code about our event system, which is the major thing that not only drives our game but enables our developers who don't need coding experience to actually build content into the game. So Unity is our primary factor. We're writing all of our code in C#. We are working with the console manufacturers to get that satisfied. So if we hit those stretch goals, we can achieve those things. That's some proprietary stuff. Some stuff I can't even actually mention because it's under NDA. But Unity does enable us to get a lot of that process moving. As far as actual tools of building things, we use Photoshop for a lot of our art. We occasionally use Illustrator, but that's more for like marketing stuff. We are not using vector assets in the game because it's a pixel art game, but that is still a tool that we use. We use Adobe Premiere for making a lot of videos. We touch After Effects a little bit, right?
Just a tiny bit. Yeah.
Premiere can handle a lot of the stuff that we do. Christina is, from my experience, I see her do all of her stuff in Photoshop. We're not using something like Graphic Scale or anything. I use Sublime Text to write a lot of like lines of code and notes and whatnot. We use Google Docs a ton. That's actually a super useful tool.
Dropbox has been our sort of archival
for assets
and stuff.
and communication.
But for immediate sending of assets, we're using Push.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool tool.
Really cool tool.
That's we have a Skype chat room, so we use Skype, and that's how we communicate constantly throughout the team. Push is a great tool in addition to Skype because you can just take a screenshot, it'll instantly upload it there, and then you can send it off to someone else.
It's Push. You can also collect regions of screens or full windows of stuff or send whole files through it. It stays on their servers temporarily as encrypted, and you can only get it with a link. So that's pretty neat.
For version control, we're using Git through a service called Bitbucket.
Right.
Bitbucket's pretty awesome. It gives you a lot of storage space, so it's easy to collaborate with people. But mostly it gives you the power of Git, which that's the way I prefer to back up my files.
For writing, we're using Chat Mapper for mapping out dialogue. We're using MindMeister for tree stuff. We're reducing.
But I'm going to be building. I'm going to replace that with tools within the engine to get it more direct.
Just for pre-built stuff and to work out how we're actually writing these things, so he has something to build to. Those are what we're using. For general scripty stuff, we use Celtics. We use Celtics Pro, and we use their online version. It's pretty cool because we use Celtics for Teams, so we can share stuff back and forth, save it online. There's nice iOS apps and stuff. I use, personally, Ultra Edit for anything texty that's code-ish. I also use Visual Studio. You might use Mono, or what do you use?
I use MonoDevelop because that's integrated with Unity.
I actually use Visual Studio 2014, or 2013 rather. I've been using that for 8 years, so I know that in and out.
You've been using Visual Studio.
Visual Studio, not 2013.
He's not that cool.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't in the future 8 years ago. But coming from an enterprise development background, I'm super into those tools. Austin's a game developer. I'm an enterprise developer. I make unit tests and DLLs, and everything's checked and exhaustively managed.
I make a game work.
You make a game work. So I'll do
if it feels good and doesn't have bugs, we're all right.
We're also missing here, because he's in North Carolina, our programmer Miles does all kinds of mathy stuff. Miles Tillman, who's also one of the principals at Pixel Jam, for which I was a developer for a time, he's doing all kinds of the mathy stuff. So anytime we need something super complex and mathy, we can either like suss it out or ask Miles, who's signed on to the gig. All the bullet patterns and stuff, he makes the tools that allow for us to enrich the bullet pattern. We can implement his tools into our tools to then control all the bullet patterning and parabolic mean diameters and mathy stuff.
And he uses ActionScript to write a lot of his code, which I'll convert over into C#.
I think he's moving over to Hacks right now, which
he's
you
doing
can
some
down convert
Hack
to
stuff,
C#. But
which is pretty neat.
I hope that wasn't too industry.
There's a bunch of things that we're forgetting that I actually can't answer, but I know Alex Maer was in the chat, and so if him or any of the other musicians, maybe they can talk about the tools that they use, because I know they use complicated trackers and a bunch of other programs. So look for the chat for maybe some audio programs.
Yeah, Alex Maer will hook you up with that. We'll put him on the spot. Alex, why don't you tell everybody what you use? Just type stuff.
Alright, so just letting you guys know, we have a lot of questions to go through.
So keep it tight.
Keep it tight.
We have to end this thing at some point.
At some point.
I've got work to do.
I do too. I say, will you commit to give me another hour?
Another hour.
One more hour. These
all
people
right.
deserve.
He will give you
one more hour. Holy crap!
But
by the way, we're going to announce a very long version of this right near the end, so you'll like it. But we'll be doing this a lot, so come back if your question or answers. We're going to try to be as least verbose as is possible, which is nearly impossible for me. I'm a storyteller.
Let's do this. Eclipse Husky writes, fixed it up. Okay. How many stages can these multi-stage bosses be for that Kickstarter tier? Also, how crazy can they be?
Crazy is good.
Yeah.
How many stages has yet to be determined. Back us, we'll work directly with you to come up with... What we want to do is, we don't want to just hit a bunch of notes. We don't want to just say you got 50 stages, all the stats are hit. We want to come up with your core idea and develop the coolest thing out of your core idea. Go crazy. And we'll come up with a cool... something that befits your idea and is impressive, but doesn't take a whole development cycle to release.
I watch DBZ, so...
Yeah. Crazy's good.
Lots of stages.
Yeah.
Lots of stages.
Ryak writes, who did the artwork?
That's complicated. Originally, concept art was done by Jeremy Perrin, who's an unbelievably gifted animator and conceptor himself. He's in France. He worked with me directly on the concept and pitch video that was used in a feature film, as well as used to pitch to get the game started. He came up with a lot of this stuff, not all this stuff, that visually we colluded and came up with a style. The design of the Star Wolf, we just spent months working stuff out. He is the original guy. He's incredible, and we were unbelievably honored to have him work on our stuff. He's also really busy. He also isn't a game maker. He's a director and an animator. So he's off doing I think he's committed to a television show for like 2 years right now. So he's on board. He's credited as being our concept dude. He's on board looking at stuff. That's cool, but he's mostly mega busy. For the actual game art and most of the stuff you're seeing now, it's like all the stuff behind us. It's all been either rebuilt entirely or completely freshly built by Christina Antoinette Neofitistu, our Neofitistu, our artist.
Or at CastPixel
At
on Twitter.
CastPixel on Twitter. She's incredible, and she's a game maker. So dealing with an animator is different than dealing with a game maker. She's concerned about actual pixel equity, animation frames for games. It's a different world entirely. It's I don't want to make a comparison. I can't even come up with an analogy. But they're two separate skills. One was to make a cool concept video, which Jeremy just nailed. He's amazing. But Christina is going to be there making a game with us. So that's who we got for that.
All right, Chicken Scratch writes, how is the game intended to be played? Like a Tom Clancy or a first-person shooter? What type of game will it be?
What is the experience of Starr Mazer?
The experience of Starr Mazer is, I hate to say this because it's going to sound mega cliche, we are going to be working very hard to explore a new experience. Choose your own action. I don't want to say just point-and-click adventure shmup. That doesn't satisfy it. It's a good hook. It's a good way for people to look at it. But the experience itself is meant to be like, okay, Unreal Tournament and Call of Duty are different first-person shooter experiences. One of them is Call of Duty is an industry on itself that didn't exist before they made it. Unreal Tournament itself is an industry. It's a feel of a game that didn't exist before that game was made. We're attempting something. We're not attempting to change games forever. But we're definitely attempting to make something that we haven't felt before. Otherwise, why make it, right? Why make a copycat game? And hopefully something somebody will say, oh, this game over here is like Starr Mazer. You know, you can look at a bunch of Call of Duty knockoff games. Some people might even say, I don't agree with this, but some people will say Battlefield is a Call of Duty knockoff. But I hold that Battlefield has its own feel, its own entire. It took some of the stuff, some of the leveling up and prestiging stuff, and moved that over to a totally different feel. We're trying to do that, so I can't point to a specific thing. It'll be actiony. It has elements of shmup, elements of point and click, elements of RPG, but itself we're attempting to make Starr Mazer.
But what is what is that experience? Like, just describe.
It
is the story of a hero, but not a hero story, right?
Right. Okay. No. Yeah. It's an expressive. We're expressing the story of a galaxy as seen through the eyes of a stilted hero, not a stilted, tarnished hero. Somebody who's got to learn what it's like to be a real hero. The story of heroism will be expressed by heroic act, and what is a heroic act will be explored.
Yeah, it's like it's discovering the true meaning of a hero.
Yeah, the feeling inside will be, by the end, you will have taught Brick what it means to be a true hero through both incredible action and incredible story maneuvering. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it did.
Special shout out, Switch382 just made a Kickstarter account to back us.
That's
you, along with
amazing.
everyone else who has backed us, is making this game happen.
That's so
Thank
cool.
you so much.
So
That's
cool.
incredible.
That same person also talking with the Army of None says Dick Man Full of Dicks would be the best character, I think.
How about this? How about
Man
this?
full of dicks.
Dick Van Full. See, the writer likes it.
Dick tentacles.
Give us money, man. Give us money. My moral occlusion of Dick Man Full of Dicks probably has a price. We want to make a game.
No, I think
Annoying.
you should just put your money where your dick is. Really.
Oh! Dick M. Stonewood.
I think he did.
Dick M. Hardwood. Dick M. Mahogany.
Rick
That is
Stone.
terrible. What are you guys saying? Let's answer the next question.
Alright. Super Scurry writes,
Super Scurry.
are you hoping to incorporate a lot of humor into Starr Mazer, or are you going for a more serious tone in the story?
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll see a dick man full of dicks. No, I think both. He wants to know if I'm sorry, should I let you answer?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you should say some stuff.
This is the worst.
I know,
I
go
don't
for
know
it.
why I'm
Look
even
at
on
the
this
camera.
couch. Stop telling me where the camera is.
There's like 2,000 people watching.
There's not.
There's like 8 people, but watch it.
No. Like I think there's definitely a lot of humor. But we're trying to make a fun story. So it's still a story. It's still got the dramatic elements and the tear-jerking moments and the action moments, and it's got all of that. It's not just like flat. It's not we slipped on a banana peel again. That sucks. But there's definitely there is a lot of humor that we're writing in it. It is gonna be fun. That's the main thing I want to point out.
I've been pitching it as the only shmup in which you'll actually cry.
I've been pitching it as fun.
It's both. Yeah, we want to tell a fully fleshed out story, which includes humor, which includes massive drama. And Brick is not a man without relationships, so we'll explore those relationships and how they affect Brick. Mariah, are you leaving?
Yes.
You should say goodbye to the wonderful people at home.
We're just having a moment real quick. Okay.
Then you'll come and say goodbye.
Yeah.
Doing work.
So yeah, next question.
Next question from Eclipse Husky.
Eclipse Husky.
Has anyone on the team played Ikaruga, one of the hardest shmups out there, with
Yes!
an interesting build?
I haven't.
Also, Radiant Silvergun. As for something brilliant I have seen in a shmup before was that you could actually bump into walls.
Nice.
If you rubbed too long against them, you would get hurt.
Right.
It made the game so good.
What are you doing?
So first.
Oh, hold on. You're being stroked.
Oh.
Bye. Thank you for everything. Now I'm awkward. I gotta go. And you guys keep talking.
See him around.
See you guys.
So the question is, have we
So,
played Ikaruga first?
yes.
We've all played Ikaruga.
We
love
played Ikaruga. That game is intense and insane in a bullet hell, and those are not the feels of Starr
Those are not
Mazer,
the
as
feels
we've
of
talked earlier. Like, the fact that you have to play Stage 2 40 times before you actually get to beat it, no, that is not the experience.
That's not
of
Starr Mazer.
But that game is totally awesome.
It is
I love
awesome.
some of the elements of it, of navigating the actual levels, and the fact that there are puzzles of maneuverability while you have to think about what you shoot. Those are some concepts that I'm very interested in taking into the game. And I mentioned earlier that Radiant Silvergun is one of my key inspirations for the feel of the Star Wolf sections of the game.
We gotta go faster.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Boom. Done.
What's the
yes.
next element of that question? Oh, cool things. Thank you for the rubbing up on the walls thing. That's one of the few things we've actually already discussed, is getting an attachment that allows you to do something similar to that. We were working out the way the system works with the Star Wolf, how there's a shield and how they actually have physical items that can attach to the shield. We'll get into that. The touching walls meaning something and maybe gaining damage. That's another thing we're currently talking about. I think we're stuck to the idea that because Brick is a main character and not just like a reusable ship. You get the one ship, and that ship will acquire damage throughout the shmup level, and you'll be able to repair that damage or otherwise fix or manage your ship. But yeah, acquiring energy or damage during the level via attachments, that's a thing we're discovering and definitely discussing. We want to do it. What's the next question? I'm sorry, he's like going, go on, so we're going to go on. We got 1 hour, so.
I ask, why does Austin look so much like Stephen Merchant?
You know, actually, someone mentioned this at MagFest. I didn't know. I mean, I knew who that guy was, but I had to look it up. I don't know. The genes of my parents apparently make a Stephen Merchant I'm not as tall as him, and I hope to one day be as funny as he is.
Sure.
But yeah, sorry. I will do my best to try to be like him. Yeah.
Also, according to Switch 382, Austin Montville is an anagram for Violent Lotus Man.
Violent Lotus Man! High five on that. That's amazing.
That's like my new tag.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's the coolest thing.
Violent Lotus Man.
Oh man.
I think Don Thacker is an anagram for talks too much. Let's continue.
Heno Zero writes, plans for Steam trading cards at release?
We're investigating the trading card thing. Again, like I said a little bit earlier, we would like to make it the most fulfilling and enriching experience that we can. Time, money, and acceptance by Steam and other platforms is difficult. So, trading cards is something we totally talked about. We've even bandied about some potential art. So yeah, it's definitely on the radar. Stick with us as we go through. It might be something we're able to announce the existence of or non-existence of before the Kickstarter. Maybe not, though. We'll let you know. We'll definitely keep you in the know.
You know what I love? I love a set of Starr Mazer playing cards. That'd be pretty cool.
I totally agree.
There's Fangamer style.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, if anyone Fangamer watch, you should
Yeah. Yes. Next question. Why are we waiting on you? I thought we had to go. I thought we were going very quickly.
No.
What is happening?
That's pretty much it. Everything else is
We've
pretty much a
answered
discussion
all
about
the questions.
Dick Man.
Now everybody's talking about Dick Man.
There's 36 people.
I hope it's a
sat
hard
there
discussion.
Talking about Dick Man full of
about
dicks.
Dick Man.
So if there are no more questions, we're going to give you a couple of seconds, but if there are no more questions, I think we have
Oh,
55 minutes to discuss guts and bucks,
All right, we can
which
talk
would be
about-
great.
we can talk about
Final
that.
questions before we move on to actual discussion. You can ask questions during that discussion, but then we're going to kind of dominate the discussion here, discussing a way we're going to solve a problem people think is an actual problem that we didn't consider a problem until everybody told us it was a problem, and we'd like to tell you how we pre-solved the problem. Any more questions? I know there's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to just pause.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about something in the meantime.
Yeah, what are you going to talk about?
Talk about the fact that I have like a whole bunch of things that I gotta do. I mean, we've got this hour.
I'm
It's
super
slotted
with you.
aside.
Slotted.
But yeah, we have to figure out the whole schedule and everything, and send those tasks and whatnot.
I have 2 updates I need to get out. We have
Yeah.
that thing from that guy that
Why are
we
you
showed
guys
the
being
guy that
so
was really
boring
cool.
for like the 40 people who are like waiting?
We're waiting for
interesting-
responses. You know the thing with the guy with the sword that we were going to talk about?
Make this
Yeah,
less
That
that's-
boring.
approval on? It's
We
super
gotta-
cool.
we gotta do that thing.
boring.
It's super hot in here. I'm
Oh.
gonna cool off a little. We have an announcement to make a little bit later.
Yeah, it's super secret though. We don't
Totally
want to. We're not
unrelated.
letting the lid off on that
Totally
one.
unrelated
I don't
to-
want to
oh,
mention
it's so
anything
warm.
about that
About
because
that.
if that got out early, some people might get upset.
Or
Yeah.
concerned. It's literally, we're going to do an update.
So,
soon.
a couple questions came in.
Okay.
Ooh.
One,
Questions?
or a comment. Somebody donate 2K to allow Dick Man to be a thing.
2K
Make
would
it
do
happen.
2K
Make it
would
happen.
do it.
This was answered
2K would do
before,
it.
but why are there 2 R's in Starr Mazer?
That's Brave Star. Also because it's cooler looking.
For the full answer, watch this
Rewind.
video.
And it super confuses all the journalists.
Yeah.
Such as the one we're currently responding to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's right.
Sorry.
Another fluke writes, where are you guys streaming from?
We are streaming from the Hollow
Seattle.
Exeter Space Station. No, we're streaming from Seattle, Washington.
Seattle.
This is actually the Imigos Films headquarters. There's an arcade machine and a bunch of games, and there's a 60-inch television over there that was donated by my mother, by the way. Thanks, Mom. I love you very much. That wall back there is covered in Mega Man vinyls. We have a kitchen, we have an office over there, and yeah, that's
4 cats.
4 cats are running around. You've probably seen a bunch of them. That one's Lilo. Last
You've seen
time.
3 of the 4
Yeah.
if you've been looking.
Oh, there's another one in another room over there. But
She's
yeah.
not allowed out.
Imigos Softworks headquarters. There's also like every console ever made behind this. It's pretty great. And then a bunch from behind
Often
us.
too.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, the best anagram they can come up for Don Thacker is hack rodent.
Ooh.
Hack rodent.
Aww.
You know, it's not. I mean, it's good anagram. It's not really badass.
It's not super
Yeah.
badass.
Not,
Hack rodent.
what is it? Violent Lotus?
Violent Lotus?
Violent Lotus
Man?
is pretty bad.
Violent
Violent Lotus
man.
bringer? No, I don't have any B's in my name. I need to remember. I'll look
Yeah,
back.
it's Violent Lotus Man.
Violent
Violent
Lotus.
Lotus, man.
Hack rodent.
Hack rodent. That's not a title you want.
Come on, guys.
Try again.
Hack rodent?
Hack rodent.
I mean, the hack part is cool, but rodent? Alright, so are we going to transition now into, okay.
We're gonna talk about
All right,
guts
guys.
and bucks.
We're going to talk about guts and bucks. Let's keep all of our non-guts and bucks related questions into another episode of Starr Mazer TV for the next 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 40 minutes with a 10-minute wrap-up. We're going to talk about guts and bucks. Austin, what's the guts and bucks system?
So, in Starr Mazer, there are 2 currencies in the game. There's the concept of guts and the concept of bucks. Now, bucks kind of makes sense. Bucks is a term for dollars or whatnot.
Credits.
They actually have a real title in the world. They're not called bucks.
No.
That's what Brick calls them.
Brick calls them bucks.
So that's what he knows.
Oh, you mean bucks?
Yeah. So people try to correct. He doesn't care. Nope, they're bucks. And so basically, it is the currency that is used in the universe of Starr Mazer. So these are earned through all sorts of elements of gameplay. Whether you're destroying enemy ships and collecting scattered bucks in space, whether you're doing deals with people,
Space bucks.
space bucks, performing services
War
for
bucks.
other characters, looting places, selling your items. There are tons of ways. Any way you can sort of conceive to earn bucks, that is a way to get that currency. And bucks are a currency that are able to use you to get lots of things in the world because money makes the universe go around still, even in the far future.
Yeah.
So you can use it in a very traditional sense of finding a shop and buying items. These items will help you out in solving puzzles. They will help you out in convincing characters. They'll help you out in upgrading your ship or getting an actual power up in the field. you can use these bucks to hire people. So some people will provide services, in which case whether they bring you to a certain area, join up with you on a mission, convince someone of a high power that you're someone that needs to be paying attention to. All sorts of different aspects that you would be able to hire someone for. You will be able to communicate with them and use bucks to get their services. Yeah, so that is the sort of main sort of buck system in there. The other aspect of it is guts.
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 Badassness.
Yeah. So
machismo. Not really machismo.
Being a hero.
Being a hero.
Making
courage.
mistakes.
Yeah. Making mistakes is actually a way to earn bucks or guts. Right?
Guts. So basically, a lot of games like to reward you for doing actions. In RPGs, you'll get like experience points. In like certain narrative games, like Mass Effect, you'll get Paragon and Renegade points. There's been a problem with that that's always bothered me. I don't like being told that I got a point for doing a good thing or I got a point for doing a bad thing. That flattens the complexity of actual interaction. That's something that bothers me a lot. But Starr Mazer is still about something, and we want to encourage doing that something. And that something is being a hero. But being a hero doesn't mean like saving the space school bus of children and getting on the front page of the newspaper. No, it's doing something that a hero might do, like making a hard choice. Like if you have to make the choice between like letting your best friend live or ending their life to end a bunch of chaos, like you'll probably get rewarded guts for either of those actions, but that'll cause a whole bunch of other things to happen, and the ramifications of that might be people hate you, in which case you can't earn guts for doing things that they want you to do. Making choices that make you a hero, that's going to do it. But it's also like being a badass, right? If you're there's a boss and it's firing the huge laser beam, but the weak point is like right under the bit of the laser, and you fly that ship and it's scraping against, scratching the paint, scraping the paint off your ship, and you're hanging right there. Boom, guts popping up, and you're just getting points because you're right next to that laser. If you dive into the asteroid belt, and asteroids are going flying left and right, and you're just right next to it, grabbing the power ups, dodging the bullets, you're gonna get points for that because that's taking risks.
Or in the story elements, threatening a dude who's threatening your life, or you see in our trailer, there's a goon that gets shot. That's a risky proposition, shooting that guy who's holding that girl. You might not want to do that. That takes guts. You could miss. What happens if you miss? You ruin everything. Those systems, both of these systems, guts and bucks, are expressed in a unified manner across all gameplay. It doesn't matter if you're in your ship or not in your ship. Guts and bucks are earned and spent as a catalyzed unit wherever you are. That's and they play kind of off of one another. One's hard mechanical currency, and the other is more implicative and drives the story a little bit more. Remember, the story is expressed both in the Star Wolf and outside of the Star Wolf. That's important note.
And that's why you get guts for any section in the game.
Right. Yeah. So that's the basic premise for Guts and Bucks. We think that it solves at this point. Now, granted, we're just implementing it, so it's going to take a year of work to make this thing
raw at this point.
Yeah. But at this point, we think it answers the major question: how is this not just one game stapled onto another game? Outside of this, obviously, previously mentioned story stuff that adds replayability and variety.
This is one of the many design choices we have made to make an experience that is neither of these two genres but Starr Mazer.
There's no silver bullet. We think at one point we'll have a Starr Mazer TV where we talk just about the modular story system, for instance, which is another step on the ladder of getting from two base genres to a higher order, not new genre, but new gameplay style. So Guts and Bucks is a one of the pillars of our answer to the question, well, what if I don't like one genre and like another genre? You're experiencing a unified expenditure system.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, if I don't fly my Star Wolf all the time, I can't collect bucks from destroying enemies, and I can't get guts from taking risks. Like, no, there's plenty of ways to earn bucks and take risks in all aspects of the game, because we have a question. Hold on, I'm gonna finish this bit.
Oh, guts.
Okay.
Huh?
Cool.
It's
Yeah.
about guts.
All right, cool. So we've got a question about guts. We'll answer in a moment. But like, once again, the story and the experience of Starr Mazer is about being a hero that doing those risky things that separate you from some slum or some shum, right? So every action in the game that supports that sort of concept has the potential of earning you guts, and that's why it's an important currency in the game.
There's also the idea that every story element, every human and every sentience,
People.
every people, every person in the game has a view of the world that he's living in. He only operates under his world. Guts and bucks are diametrically opposed currencies. One is wholly subjective. Did that guy blow up all those space pirates? Wow, those guts are awesome. Did that guy blow up all my space pirate friends? Oh, those guts, he's ballsy in the worst way. Hard currency, bucks, that's an objective currency. One's a subjective currency, the other one's an objective currency, and both of those play different roles in the story, right? Having a bunch of money when talking to a monk might not work. Having a bunch of money when talking to a space power broker might be really important. Same for bucks, but they're built to play off one another. We had a question about guts specifically,
Yes.
right?
Who
asks that?
It's me, Zool.
It's
Can
me,
you-
Zools.
Can you
Zool.
lose guts?
In the current thoughts, like I don't believe that guts are a thing that you lose, because when you make an action, it's already happened. That's a permanent thing, and so that was a risk that you took.
It's meant to work beside the events that you actually complete during the game. So it's reputation. You can get reputation as an awesome pilot by using your guts will represent that, and then guts plus story will get that answer. You are the best space pirate, or pilot rather. Then you spend a bunch of story elements destroying things and being terrible. You'll still be gutsy, but you won't be the best space pilot anymore. You'll be kind of insane and not really good at piloting, but you're still gutsy. Those guts will get you that currency. It's basically like an amplification system. Imagine, hey, I just flew here from wherever. Cool, but there's no nobody's talked about you. Nobody tells me that you're like the best pilot. If you just flew the Kessel Run in under 15 parsecs and you're Luke Skywalker, that's a different feeling than if you're Han Solo. Of course you did. If you're Han Solo, you come with a bunch of stuff built in. Of course you run the Kessel Run, probably 14 and a half parsecs, but 15, wow, you nailed it. If Luke Skywalker, who's a farm boy, makes the Kessel Run in under 15, but what was that, random? Did he steal a ship? The story is completely different. So using guts as a foil, right now consistency, it's up in the air with whether or not you spend them.
Yeah.
There's a game, the Star Trek deck building game. Big ups to the two people who like that game out there with me, where you have experience that you bring to the bridge, and you sometimes can spend it for things, and other times by just having it, it's an effect. And we're kind of toying with that. Remember, we're 2 proper weeks into full-time development on a thing. We spent a bunch of time getting things ready, building systems and all that, but we've decided head down. We're now getting to the point where we're hitting the issues that we will solve over the course of a year.
Yeah.
Right now we don't spend it. Right now it's a persistent thing. Your reputation stays, and we record everything you did.
But I mean, to be completely honest, we have not yet tried, actually made a build with you losing guts.
Right.
And as much as I do not believe it is the right thing, part of being a game designer is iterating on every concept conceivable. So now that you bring it to me, I'm going to start thinking about that and see how would that affect the world? Does that make sense for Starr Mazer?
Right.
It's an interesting thought.
Next question.
So it's interesting. Switch 382 says about the guts and bucks system. So is there an advantage taking the majority path, guts or bucks, or can you kind of zen and take it in the middle road?
Absolutely. Once again, just like how you're curtailing your experience to how much time you want to spend in the Star Wolf, or how much time you want to spend, sneaking around space stations and planets and whatnot, you will be able to use those currencies to your advantage in either way. If you're once again, it's still not a like 0 or like there's not a 0 or 100% of either way. Like there's going to be times where if you have a couple of bucks and you use it the right time, it's going to make your situation a lot easier, right? If you take a couple of risks and get recognized for that, getting some guts, that's going to make your situation a lot easier.
Working on the story elements, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Working on the story, I just know it's hard. Working on the story elements that we've kind of worked on a little bit, I feel like that Zen path in the middle is actually the hardest path. I think that expressing yourself loudly in one of the two directions is probably going to get the loudest, most immediate story results, but maybe not the most satisfying overarch story. I think being a good pilot and a good hero, balancing that is probably going to be the key at this point in development to having the most enriched experience. You can definitely fly your ship around all you want. What's the next?
Next question is, are you using, by another fluke, are you using guts and bucks to allow players to customize the gameplay experience by building up skills that they enjoy using? Or is it more like having multiple currencies or level paths?
Yes.
Yes.
So, will we be using guts and bucks to allow to customize the game experience? This is actually one of the things that we discussed.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that we like, bucks make a lot of sense. You get items, you get services. Like you pay to influence characters to give you things that you can use, whether that's tangible goods or experiences to help you out. Guts are a little bit different. I originally came to the concept that guts were going to be used to basically build up your skills to change the experience of the game. Like a lot of the original ideas were like, okay, like you can use guts to learn new tactics in your Star Wolf, so you can like do dashes and do flips and like change the direction of your ship, so you can fly backwards. And a lot of those ideas are still really solid, and those ideas I am very much wanting to put into the game. There was another concept that I had wanted to do at the beginning, which was using those guts experience to modify the discussions with characters. So, for example, like you'd be able to get something that allows you to barter, which would reduce the cost of things in the game, or you'd get something that gives you charisma, which gives you more time in sort of stressful situations. But when we looked at the design of it, like that goes against the concept of the game.
Right.
The concept that you are making choices and interacting with actual characters. And every time we take an aspect of interaction and break it down to a bar or a stat or numbers, it makes the game feel less like a story and more like a game or a spreadsheet.
You see the rigging.
So
currency is easy. It comes with a built-in bar, right?
And it has a narrative ramification.
And we all get it. It's supernatural. It's super, not supernatural.
Intuitive.
It's super intuitive. But yeah, the gut system when it's put as a currency system and spent like points, and you add 2 points to a thing and can all of a sudden do something, you don't feel that natural progression. So we're working out now the best way to have those guts be, because in the end, under the hood, it's a bunch of numbers that move around and make things. But we don't want to
1 and a 0 at some point.
We want to artfully explain to you that these events and activities you're undertaking will arc the story, not iteratively. I don't want you to pause mid-game, pick a thing, and now be able to do a thing. It feels like a game to me. It feels like a toy to me. We have another question.
Yes. If you do risky things to get guts, but over time you accumulate guts, will they be bad guts as in Fallout, or will guts just be a way of the way people look at you in a good way no matter how you use it?
I think using good and bad is a negative approach. Guts are your
reflection. They're a reflection of the risks you take. That's it.
I'm going to use a really weird analogy. I think Steve Jobs had a lot of balls, right? He would go into a meeting and we all read the books. Whatever. Some people thought he was a crazy madman, mad with power. Other people think he changed Earth forever for the good. It's perspective. He had a thing that he did, and he did it consistently, and people viewed that from different angles. Guts is something like that. There are objectively bad things in the universe. In our game universe and in the real universe. It's probably not cool to murder a bro ever for any reason, for instance. In our universe, it's probably not cool to murder a bro ever for any reason. But there are subjective ideas. Guts is super subjective based on the characters and events you're in. You have enough go. Are you somebody people have heard about? Are you somebody who's awesome? That combined with the actions you've undertaken in the story, the flow of your current playthrough, the items you've accrued, the dialogues you've shared. All those things together collude to make, I don't want to say illusory, but a story experience is not just a bunch of numbers and gameplay elements. It makes a story. I think that's what we're trying to get to. We're using Guts and Bucks to buttress the idea that this isn't click on pixels or dodge bullet hell stuff. It's instead Starr Mazer, a storytelling game with action and fun and adventure. Those are one of the elements. We'll talk about other elements in probably another Twitch cast. Like again, the modular story system. It's another way we bring those things together. Guts and Bucks is expressed not as a single currency system kind of thing, but as another buttressing thing. I seem to think that I'm talking over you.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like, well, Guts is a currency that is a representation of your actions in the game.
Sure.
But like when we track characters reacting to you, we don't track the number of Guts. They don't really care about that. They care about the actual actions you made. So I might have, destroyed the Space Baron and, saved the Space School Bus, whatever. Like, I'm not the writer. I'm just making up crap right now. It'll be much better.
I don't want a school bus.
So you saved the Space School Bus. Those are like, one thing is like actually murdering something, even if it is like a possibly bad person. One, saving a bunch of people. Those might both give you like, 50 Guts points. So some character doesn't look and goes, oh, you have 100 Guts points. Like, I like it. It's like, someone's going to go, you murdered someone. I don't like, they're like, sure, you might have saved a bunch, but you murdered someone. And they're going to know that they're going to have heard that you did those actions. And one person will respond one way, and another will respond another. It's not that they're responding that you have 100 Guts points.
That Guts point might change their view of...
Yeah, like, you're a guy who does something.
Yeah.
Like if you have lots of Guts, like, you do a lot of, like, people start talking about you.
Yeah. So go ahead. There's another one.
Next question by Eclipse Husky. Would having more Guts cause you to, say, face more enemies, both shmup and story portions, as that means you have more rep to be more of a threat to those that want to take you down?
So what's the name of the guy?
Eclipse Husky.
Eclipse Husky, yes. Definitely, that is a way.
It's more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it's a little more nuanced than that.
Sort of what I just said, I guess.
Yeah, you can definitely say that is a way that Guts will help express story through the game. You could be, let's say you've got a bunch of really badass space pirates again who are looking for that guy who's going to beat his chest. By default, you being the best pilot in the quadrant will make them try to take you down. So yeah, that is a way it can be expressed. It's not the only way Guts can be expressed, but sure, yeah, that's definitely a way. Next question?
This is a good question. It's Mizul writes, also, will there be will the amount of Guts and Bucks modify the appearance of Brick and the Star Wolf? Like, will they become even more badass?
Ooh. Scope is probably the real answer.
Right.
It's going to be a balancing act, and this is going to come to like really how fast we can create content, which is very quickly. But our core aspect is telling the story. Like that is the core aspect of Starr Mazer. So yes, we want to customize. Like, we're already going to have slight customizations, and like the bullets you fire and whatnot will change.
Yeah.
But like doing cool things like scars and the Star Wolf, and like the outfits you wear, like really when you put on that like extra booster engine, the way it changes it. Those are things that are ideal and we want, but it's going to depend. If we need tons and tons and tons of content of things that you get from Guts and Bucks, then doing full customization with every single possible item is going to be less feasible. But if we find out that really we only need a few key components that we can really solidify the experience with Guts and Bucks, then we can make those visually discernible because it will take less time.
Can I ask you a question, Austin?
Yes.
What would aid us in getting this sort of assets created?
I think if we had a larger budget.
Like a larger budget?
A larger budget
like
would enable us to be able to do more, possibly hire on some additional people to make it so we still hit our ship date of April 2016.
We actually were just talking today about an artist who would love to work with us further, but we don't have in our budget the ability to hire that person. If we had more money, we might be able to do that.
It would make those things more feasible.
So
the answer is scope.
Scope.
Because I'm gonna say a thing. I'm gonna say a thing real quick. One of the things, whenever I look at a game Kickstarter, the first thing I check, I look at the risks thing, because I've made a bunch of games. I've made over 12 games before. I've shipped a bunch of them. I've also not shipped a game before, so I know what causes not a game to ship. And so I look, do they understand what scope is? Because there are a lot of games I love, a lot of games I'm really excited for that were supposed to ship last year when I backed them, and they didn't. So it is very important to me, when we set a date, we hit that. Fortunately, we are building Starr Mazer in a way that the content is variable, the scope is variable, and we're cautious about every single thing that we animate. It's a fine-honed experience. But because of the way the narrative is built in Starr Mazer, we can get to a certain point, close that experience, and then add things on it, especially if we continue to get support from the fans.
Mo money, Mo Mazer.
Yeah. So, but scope is incredibly important. April 2016. That's a date.
Yeah.
I want that date. I want that date very.
I'm gonna take this to stand on my little.
Yeah. All right. You stand on your soapbox.
April 2016. You're getting a game.
Boom.
I know other people have failed at things, bro. I'm sorry.
Make that a GIF. Quote it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Take this and we'll just put it on the internet. It's a video. We're gonna post the video. You're gonna get a game. It's gonna be the best possible game that we can make, and it's gonna have the things we promised. That's feasible. Before we made that date, before we made our budget, we worked out the pragmatic answer. We would love to deliver you something 10 times as cool as what we've promised, but we're going to deliver what we promised. I've been asked what happens if you get $6 million. We're going to deliver what we promised. We made a promise, we're going to deliver the promise. We might add a bunch of cool stuff to it. We're not going to change that promise. We're going to stick to that promise and do that. I've said that on video now 5 times. I've said that directly to a camera because I've shipped games, you've shipped games. I have worked on, I think at this point, like 14 games. You've got 12. We know what we're talking about, man. I've worked on failed games as well, and I watched the thing. I watched it spline off. Scope. We know what we're making. We're gonna make the thing.
And to clarify that, when we say like we have promised an experience, and that is the experience of another, that doesn't mean like every line of text where it's like, oh, we're gonna have like this feature and it's gonna work that way. Iteration makes a good game. If we say something, we're like, that's how we're gonna do it, and then we actually test it and play it and go, oh, that feels awful. That's not an experience. Like we're not gonna keep it in just because it's line there.
The core feeling of the experience, the thing we keep pitching to you, that's what we're making. And that doesn't mean we strip out everything because we screwed up and totally misaligned.
It has to be a full experience.
Exactly. On April 2016, no matter what, we're delivering you a thing. If hell or high water, it's happening. You want to assure that you get the things you want beyond what we've talked about. That's a money issue. That's a scope issue.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, important note, man. We're not
real here.
Yeah, we're getting real talk. None of us are gonna make money on this game until we sell it. And even then, if we go with a big publisher, we might not make a bunch. We're not trying to. We're not. Both of us had very successful. Now, granted, all the money we made from that has been used to make art, but both of us had very successful corporate versions of what we're doing. I was an enterprise programmer. He was a games maker for larger people. We don't. That's not our goal. I had all the stuff. I had all the consoles and all the. I hated I wasn't expressing the art that I wanted to express since I was 4 years old. Knew I wanted to tell stories. Since I was 9-year-old, knew I wanted to make games. I wasn't doing that. I was failing life. I wasn't failing. I didn't have any guts. I had all the bucks and no guts.
All the bucks and no guts.
It was the worst. This is not an endeavor where we think we're gonna like go to Kickstarter and make enough money to buy a house and a car, even though my car is like the cheapest car. We want to make this experience. We put in a bunch of our own money already, a bunch of our own time, which does equate to actual money, because we could be using that time to get more money for ourselves. We're risking a bunch right now on purpose. We know that it's a risk. That the $1 you put in, the $15 you put in, not the camera, the whatever amount you are able to put in, we know that every single penny you put in is a risk you're taking. Even though if we don't hit that money, if we don't hit that goal, you don't spend $1. We know that you're taking a mental and emotional risk on us. We accept that. We want that because we want us all to build this game together. We can fulfill our part when we hit that 160. When we get to the console stretch goals, we can fulfill each single one of those. We've been very pragmatic about it. When we get beyond that, we can start fulfilling dreams. Not just the promise, but dreams. When we get to 750, that's the sort of joke. We're making that TurboGrafx game. It's happening. But we're really just looking to fulfill our stretch goals, get this thing to as many platforms as possible. But when I keep talking about money, I'm not talking about money so much as I'm talking about scope. We have the scope we can hit with that base budget. Beyond that, we can definitely pragmatically increase or change scope. We're not making a different game. I've seen too many games that I've personally put my Kickstarter money into and didn't fail the Kickstarter, but they definitely failed on delivering a thing, right? I put my hope into the idea that they'd make the game I was promised in that video, and instead they got a little bit more money, way too much more money, and decided to make a totally different game, a game I didn't ask for. a game I didn't put my money in for. If you backed us already, you know what you're getting. If you don't know directly what you're getting, thank you for taking the risk. We'll describe what you're getting as much as we can, but we're not changing that. If we get $1 trillion, we'll make Starr Mazer, and then we'll make a whole bunch of other great shit to go with Starr Mazer to go with you. But Starr Mazer is coming out. If we make $160,000, we make $1 trillion. $1 trillion is not going to happen. We'd make a country called Starr Mazer.
Starr Mazer. We'd make the entire universe.
I would like my own, we would just change the word pizza to Starr Mazer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get a Starr Mazer.
Yeah.
Anyway, 30 minutes or less.
And rant.
Sorry, we just need to address that. We'll probably address it a bunch more.
It'll get said more.
Yeah.
It's something we feel a lot about.
It's the feels in there.
And so, bringing this all back, we are telling about systems. We are describing them as they are known now to sort of explain the design to you. But as soon as we get this game being shown to lots of people and we're iterating on it constantly, those things will change, and we want to communicate those changes to you, why we did that, and we'll hopefully get to see a little bit of the development experience.
There's a potentiality that the guts and bucks system might suck.
Yeah, it might be awful. So far, it's working out.
Yeah.
It feels really good. We like it. This is why we're sort of going this direction. But
we've been working part-time though until now. So until we get it going, you'll come to these meetings with us. You'll talk to us. You'll check out the dev blog.
If you're a beta backer, you'll physically play
the thing and be like, oh man, I remember you guys talking about this, but this is poop. And then we'll fix it. That's the point. We won't change the concept.
Yeah.
The deep down inside meaning of the guts and bucks system is there specifically right now to answer a question, to support a concept. We'll support that concept no matter what. Next question.
Do we have any questions? We're ready to.
No more questions. It's mainly just. It's me, Zool, has increased his pledge another $20.
Thank you so much. That's incredible.
It's you, Zool. You did it.
It's you, Zool.
Other people like Eclipse Husky are recommending that we add a 2K tier.
We did add a 2K tier.
It's up there now, right? We haven't even talked about it yet, but it's up there.
It's going on in tonight's update. We added a 2K tier.
Or is this a different idea?
Is there an additional 2K tier? Because we'd like to hear that idea. But we do have a 2K tier right now that gets you the ability to
create your own episode.
You can one of those little story episodes. You control the entire beginning, middle, and end of one of those little episodes. You get with our writer Vanessa. You get with me. You get with the artist. And you work out what happens, a whole flow.
Or maybe you're a pro writer-artist person, and you can actually physically contribute to the things.
That would be incredible.
That is one of the things about any of those backer options where you get to design stuff. We have the tools to build it. If you're really solid, we'll give you access to those tools. Yeah. If you're wanting just, I got an idea, I want you guys to make it awesome, we'll make it awesome. Either way, it'll always be the quality of Starr Mazer, but we'll let you get involved as much as we possibly can, as much as you want.
Got an answer. What's up?
Also, Astronatum
Like that.
supported us on Kickstarter.
Thank you very much,
Astronatum.
Eclipse Husky has doubled their pledge.
What? Thank you so much.
Eclipse right there.
Yeah.
In my heart.
Wow.
Total eclipse in my heart.
Total.
A husky eclipse in my heart.
I'm going to start.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Also,
guys.
they are the first 2K backer.
What? Who is?
Eclipse Husky.
Eclipse Husky.
Man,
thank you so much.
I can't wait to hear about your story.
You now get to have a whole episode devoted to Dick Man Full of Dicks, or whatever it is you're coming up with.
This is it. They're talking about. They're like, how do we get the?
He's gonna have us name Dick Man Full of Dicks Laser Kid.
It's all going to fruition. This is it. This is the whole design session.
Collusion.
I am really excited.
Thank you so much. That's incredible.
On this game.
Yeah. Wow, guys, that's.
We do have a question though
Okay,
about the Guts and Bucks system.
That's good. That's what we're
Let's get this back into Guts and Bucks.
Will the Guts and Bucks system enable people who are bad at shmups to get through them, and the people who are bad at PNC to get through those areas?
Yes. I mean, whatever problem we're attempting to solve with the Guts and Bucks system, which is again what we were talking about before. Maybe that's not the exact right system. We're working on it, but we are trying to solve a question of what if I really suck at shmup. I got a personal message on Kickstarter today. A guy said, "Listen, I love shmups. I'm the worst at them. I just have a disconnect. Hand-eye coordination just isn't working for me."
I'm not with PNCs, dude.
Yeah, so it just doesn't work. Is there going to be a way for me to get through them? Yes. In fact, you can bolster your friends, in-game friends, your NPCs that help you out. You can build up the Star Wolf using Guts and Bucks or whatever it is we end up solidifying that answers that question. You can build up the Star Wolf. You can get people to help you out. You can travel in other people's ships. You can do all this stuff to kind of avoid being really terrible at the Star Wolf sections, the point and click sections, which are the story sections. Your ability to be an awesome pilot and gain guts and bucks, you can leverage in those. So yes, that's definitely one of the answers that guts and bucks system, or whatever system it ends up evolving into, is meant to answer.
There's another question, but I want to elaborate on that aspect.
Go for it.
Because
and then we'll ask
there is another concern that someone also brought up with me, and that like they're not interested in a system that you press buttons and it makes the game easier.
Ah,
like,
yes.
That is like you hate
that idea.
Yeah, that is not exactly what's going on. Now, yes, you will be able to use these things to sort of change your experience, so that you'll be able to compensate for the skills that you might not have in the game. For example, like if you don't necessarily know a whole lot about diplomatic negotiations, then maybe you hire someone, or you buy an item to sort of make that situation like a simpler thing to deal with.
Or you bluff.
Yeah, or you bluff.
Because you're gutsy as all hell.
Exactly. But that doesn't necessarily mean it makes it easier. And in fact, for some players, they're gonna want to make this they're gonna want to make it more challenging for them. For like me, I love some really intense shmups.
Mega hard mode.
And so part of the gut system enables me to do more complex maneuvers with the Star Wolf that make it harder but more satisfying. It'll make it more technical. So I can be doing all these crazy stunts, flipping my ship around, like going in, barreling through between like stuff that you wouldn't be able to do, or maybe you wouldn't want to do if you're not into that. Like I just want my tough shmup, my ship that can just withstand all the bullets and I can just barrel through. There will still require like some level of skill, just like because you're gonna have to push buttons. But the Guts and Bucks system are an enhancement to be able to customize the experience so it plays the way that you want to, compensate the areas you're not necessarily interested in, or enhance the areas that you really want to explore.
I'd like to actually buttress that comment, and then we'll take that question. If you don't like flying around in a spaceship shooting stuff, and you hate walking around talking to people and exploring the story in a way reminiscent of a point-and-click adventure game, you're not going to like the game. That's something we keep running into. We love making games, and we love watching people entertained by our games. We keep falling into this, well, how do we please people? Not everybody's going to like Call of Duty. Not everybody's going to like Skyrim. Now, I love Fallout 3. I don't like Skyrim as much. I think the systems are similar. But I like Skyrim, but I just don't love it as much as Fallout 3. They're different things entirely, even though they share a lot of the same stuff. You might not like shmups or point-and-click adventure games. If you don't like either of those, your desire to like this game will be lessened. Give us a shot, though, because we're trying to answer problems. If you have specific issues with either of those, we're probably trying to answer those issues. If you just don't like them in principle, then no, the Starr Mazer is not going to answer your question. It's not going to be awesome for you. It's going to have a cool story that you're going to miss because you don't like the mechanics, and that's perfectly valid. But we're attempting to answer questions brought up by those games. I remember I was 9 and I hated playing those games sometimes. I want it to be fun and engaging. I know that I want a wider audience to be able to experience both of the coolest parts of those things, and to do that, we're letting the game maneuver itself to fit your play style. Let's answer that next question.
Chicken Scratch writes,
Chicken Scratch.
About the Guts and Bucks system.
Yes.
So your guts go up, kind of like Infamous. We're being a hero.
It's a long
Okay,
question.
if you kill somebody or go on a rampage, will your guts go down if you do non-heroic things?
At this point, we're not associating guts with the subjective idea of heroism. It's more subjective courage. If you go on a rampage or kill a bunch of people, you might do so in a gutsy way, but those events themselves carry with them the envelope of their own, their own weight, the envelope of their own story ramifications. It's not like Infamous, where in Infamous you could kill a bunch of people and each one of them isn't tied directly to the story. We're also not going to have 30,000 people to interact with in your 10-hour experience. Everybody is going to have a meaning, and killing somebody. That brings up an interesting point for this rampage thing. You have the ability to blast anything. You can shoot anything. There's a button called blast. There's like look in the story segments, and you can blast something. You can shoot a glass off of a table. You can shoot a sign off of a restaurant. You can shoot a person in the face. You can shoot a person who should have been your core story element for that episode in the face in the beginning of the episode. You might get guts if you do it in an interesting way. That doesn't mean it's good and will help you tell a good story. It might screw up your story. I was told recently that what we're engineering is a modular computer system that represents a really good tabletop RPG DM, right? He has all of the stuff, and it moves modularly around what you're doing, and you can screw up you can screw up your path through a story, but not screw up the story. We don't want to subjectively add, via the Guts and Bucks system, a judgment on your actions. The story characters, there are warring factions in our story. Killing 1,000 of one person might make a monk think you're the worst human, or the worst human ever, whether or not you killed 1,000 of one faction or 1,000 of another faction, or 100 or whatever of either faction. But killing 100 of one faction might make one faction love you and the other faction hate you. So the subjective idea of being bad doesn't really exist in the Guts and Bucks system. It does exist in each story element, though. That will definitely have ramifications, and we want that to be the case. We'd like you to be able to screw up the best version of the story and have a more harrowing experience if you're going to just go on a rampage, as you said. Yeah.
So, a shout out, Mosath, because we did this Q&A, pushed him to get a digital copy of the game.
Thank you very much. That's really great.
Thank you.
And Eclipsed Husky comically writes, so a speedrun of this game would be blasting yourself, as it would be an end.
That's interesting. We have not yet considered clicking on blast and clicking on yourself.
I want to see the fastest run of the game. When Starr Mazer comes out, I want to be like, yeah, I destroyed the story in 47 seconds.
There's got to be a way that you work out the best way to manipulate the little stack symbol systems.
Yeah.
And you do that thing like that game where like the Mario game plays itself by like doing the wrong shit a bunch. Mm-hmm. Like you just do the weirdest shit and it doesn't really fit the story, but it totally gets you through the story. That'd be interesting. No, speedruns will be great. I'd love to see speedrun videos. Go ahead.
But you're right. Like we didn't consider shooting yourself.
I think Brick would consider it.
Maybe like how bad is it? How
Yeah.
bad is the situation?
Yeah.
Like, how many people has he gotten to insult him like to his very core?
Yeah.
No, that's a rough topic.
That's
I don't
rough.
know.
Yeah.
We got to think about it.
When I say consider, I don't mean like do it. I mean like think. You'd click on it and you'd be like, I don't think that's the right thing to do. Right.
But maybe
now.
if like it was right after a bad situation, he might be like, "Wow, I'm a horrible person."
Yeah. That's
context. Context is everything.
Yeah. Let's work that out. In a much more deeply honed story meeting. You had another question.
So, speaking about ending the game, would something, by Eclipse Husky, would something akin to getting 100% be viable in the game? Just thoughts on something like speedrunning ideas.
Okay, so...
Yes, but not like through a single playthrough.
Right.
Many playthroughs.
Right.
You would have to do multiple playthroughs to get a 100% complete, but that will be viable.
Yeah. You would have to not install patches. Because the minute we install a patch, we have a ripple effect with all the... If I drop a new item in, that item could affect story elements all throughout the game. So...
But, man, that's not even a speed run at that point. That's going to be a long run. Because we're talking about like literally days of playing.
Yeah.
To experience all the
replayability was super... We're not a roguelike. We're not randomly generated. We're procedurally loved. We're not even procedurally generated. We're procedurally told. The story is procedurally told. So... you're going to have to go through a lot to get that 100%. And again, anytime we make a change, we will enrich your experience to the degree that you're 100%.
I don't imagine we'll see 100% speed runs.
I don't know, man.
Like, are you going to see like 100% like Minecraft speed run or 100%
if the
Dwarf
fastest to
speed run?
100% is 90 hours and somebody does it in 88 hours, that's a speed run.
All right. It's gonna be tough to do 100%. Yeah. Go for any percent speed runs. That'll be much more viable.
Get to the end of the story as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Go
All right. What's the next question?
Eclection writes, I just got my friend to back this game as well.
Woo! Thank you. That's the best thing. Okay, so check it out. You guys who've backed us already, you are the greatest. But you want the game. That's why you backed us. I want the game too. He wants the game. You gotta get other people to back us so we can all make the game and they can have an awesome version of the game. Yeah, be like that dude. That dude's amazing. Thank you so much. That's so cool.
Yeson writes, so if you kill a vital character to the point where you cannot continue the story, does that end that chapter or will something else happen?
That depends on the chapter, honestly. You can end the chapter immediately. You can just kill the guy and move on to the next chapter. It won't end the story. Your arc will always go and you'll always end. You might have missed out on something that in your next playthrough you'll probably do differently. But that's not just... See, we're making value judgments here. You missing something because you shot a guy in the face is no different from you missing something because you didn't shoot a guy in the face. Like, the story's going to be expressed from beginning, middle to end, no matter what. I want to point out one thing that nobody's talked about yet, which is really fun. You can die. You can die in your ship. You can die. It's harder, and you can make it way harder. You can die in the point-and-click section. You can just end the game, and that's one of the ends. Is you just failed. You got Brick killed. We're going to make it kind of difficult, but it will end your story. And you'll have to start over. And when you start over, the story will be reset, and it'll be a whole different thing.
There are saves. That doesn't mean like
like
hardcore. Yeah, there are saves.
You can save. It's not.
You didn't know.
And also, I'm gonna let something out. It's not that big of a deal, and I think we even talked about it a little bit. It might be that we remember some stuff that cross your deaths. Maybe remember the world of Starr Mazer is in between a really rich collection of phenomena that mess with time and history, and wouldn't it be cool to maybe time travel back to a save game?
I mean, we're recording everything.
Yeah, we are recording literally everything.
So.
Just want to let you guys know, we do have another meeting at 7 p.m.
Yep. So we're 12 minutes out.
I got a couple more questions for you guys.
Let's. It seems like we've expressed the guts and bucks system the best we can for the hour we had. Let's answer some questions for 12 minutes and then be done for tonight. We'll be back again very soon after that, though.
Okay. So, adding on to Husky's questions, will there be some type of room, like a trophy room, or something that fills up as you experience the episodes to indicate that the episodes you've completed and which ones you have to go? For example, if you helped out a one-eyed pirate, you would see their patch in this room.
I haven't, like, the guts, like, the value of guts has been our representation of that so far. Maybe it's got to make narrative sense. I will be full disclosure. Like, I have not considered that option, so that is something that we now have to consider as a team.
I'm actually very delighted by that idea. I've been trying to find something similar to that. I like the idea of recording it somewhere. Luckily, we're in the far, 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 far future. We're in the year 9091, which is actually 1,000,000 years after now. They restarted time. I think that we could have like a hollow suite or something that's recording stuff that can kind of let you know. I don't want to use it as a mechanism to determine where you are in the game. That's a problem. But having some way to go back and see the cool stuff you did, that seems kind of neat. It does have to make narrative sense, obviously. I think Brick is the kind of guy who would keep a souvenir of a battle or something. That seems kind of cool. So we'll throw that into the. Remember, we're recording this. Somebody's taking notes off to the side there. We'll definitely throw it into our narrative pot and see if it's cool. I'll get with Vanessa and see what she thinks. But I like the idea a lot. Thanks for that idea. Yeah.
So Io Shutduff. Yes.
Io Shutduff.
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 Is there a feature where you can intimidate somebody pulling out your weapon?
You have the ability to use any item in your inventory,
right.
And so using a gun is a way to make certain events happen. Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Will the game have carryover things from playthrough to playthrough, something like a character skin?
Yes. The question will the game have carryover things from playthrough to playthrough? Absolutely. Some of them obvious.
Oh man.
Some of them super not obvious.
I got a cool idea. I'm gonna keep it secret.
Keep it secret. Some of them super not obvious. Some of the stuff we've discussed is pretty incredible. Remember, at some point we'd like to deal with time travel and that kind of stuff. So that'll be neat. Remember, we're in the sci-fi future with gravity lensing, and it's cool, man. It's cool.
Shutduff, you gave me a cool idea. Remind me to tell you about it when we reveal it.
Okay, Eclipse Husky writes, by blast anything, will it be like point and click where it is set, where it is a set location, or could I literally shoot somebody in the foot, or if I click the arm?
No, because of it's going to be more of how you interact with objects,
right.
like you might see in point and click style games. So like there are things that you can interact with. Blast is one of your options, just as use or look or go to.
Right. Yeah, we're unfortunately again scope keeps it so that if you blast a thing, it's going to be very hard to blast a very specific pixel area. Also, our resolution we picked a very beautiful yet very complex resolution to actually build pixel art in.
It's rather small.
It's rather small on purpose.
272 pixels high.
272 high.
I think that's it. I could be wrong. So the artist knows.
It's a really complex. We thought we could hit this right note for sort of a retro feel, but with some modern elements. But resolving the ability to click a foot versus clicking a head might be a little less cohesive an experience, and probably not the place where we want to put our time. If we can instead flesh out the rest of the system, it's a cool idea. I think it's probably for another game though. That one, or a sequel.
Any other questions?
We have 8 minutes, which is probably 9 minutes because it takes about a minute to to loop through for them to see us. It's anywhere between 30 seconds and a minute. So.
Yeah.
It's 7 minutes.
You're
It's
right.
Aoshutuf.
Aoshutuf.
I like this
Tell me how
person.
to pronounce the name. They're talking about making stew and loving the honesty in this type of Q&A.
Cool. Well, we're going to do a lot of these. We are completely transparent. If you go to our dev blog, which I think is starmazer.tumblr.com, or go to starmazer.com and click on dev blog, which just redirects there, you'll see we're being super transparent. We're using your money for at least part of this. So, of course, we're going to be super transparent. We're going to be honest. We're going to fuck up, but we're going to do our best to keep things great. And stew sounds amazing. I want stew right now. I've really not eaten, and I kind of haven't slept for like 30 hours. So, food sounds incredible. Stew sounds the best. I don't know if you're in Washington or Seattle, but if you are, I'm coming to get some stew. Got another question, looks
Yes.
like.
Would there ever be a female playable character? In the base game, that is.
Do we...
Yes!
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 We blew it up! Yes, of course. Yes, there is. And that's another thing we'll get into in a totally... There's going to be an entire StarMazer.tv episode about gender role and all the modern game concern stuff. We've got it all on lockdown. Yes, if you look at the trailer, it looks like Brick's a misogynistic dickbag. It's because at the beginning of the game, of course he is. He's a man out of time. He doesn't understand modern stuff. We're going to address a whole bunch of that, and it'll be very, very... We have a female writer. We have a female artist. We have very, I think, open-minded and equitative dudes on the team. We have a female producer. We're very much about telling a good story, not telling a story because we're used to it. I want to address tropes that I grew up with, and I want to address how they work in today's world. That is why Brick is out of time. So, like a man pulled out of time and been placed in a new world. So yeah, female playable character, absolutely. We were going to keep it as like a thing, but when we both looked at each other the minute you asked, yes, it's happening. It's going to be good. It's going to be so good.
Now, remember, we've only revealed 4 of the characters in the game.
There are hundreds
and we've really
apparently.
only talked about 1 of them.
Right. Yes. The answer is yes. Next question.
Will there be stew in the game?
Yes. There will be stew in the game.
Stu confirmed.
Stew confirmed.
Once again, clarifying scope reasons, things that we say when we iterate it might not actually.
Shut up. Stew's confirmed. Confirmed.
Producer not here. Stu confirmed.
Stew confirmed. Where's the producer? I don't know. Stew confirmed.
When can we expect to see more gameplay?
The producer just peeked around the corner. He actually just said Stew confirmed. So it's good. More gameplay is coming. So we're riding on a razor's edge here. We want to start refining systems. We have not been able to go through a proper gameplay or even fully fleshed out visual design phase. We have ideas. We have all of the stuff that we've designed a bunch, but again, until rather recently, we haven't been able to concentrate 24/7, 7 days a week on it. That's what we're putting in, by the way, right now. It's constant. We sleep well where we're typing. Like we fall asleep right there. We've been able to do it on and off. What we're missing and what a budget and scope will provide for us is the ability to sit down and say, okay, you don't have to worry about whether or not we can actually do this. Let's make it right. The razor's edge we're on is we can definitely pump out all kinds of gameplay footage. We can punch out all kinds of shmup. Go to our dev blog right now. Go to our video. Go to our Vine account. There's gameplay. Is it gonna be a finely honed experience of jumping between different play styles and experiencing story and fully? No, not yet. We're working on it. We're kickstarting a game. We're attempting. So we're constantly fighting this battle of whether or not we want to show you a bunch of whiz-bang stuff or actually spend the actual time it takes to come up with the stuff that will result in even better whiz-bang stuff. So yeah, we're going to definitely show you more animation, more gameplay. We're going to show you us testing stuff. We're going to invite you to have questions and comments about stuff. We might test stuff on StarMazer.tv, but am I going to launch a new gameplay trailer in 4 days? Probably not. That's not a thing I'm going to confirm. I'll definitely let you guys in on it. You can go to the dev blog. You can watch StarMazer.tv. We will show you everything we're doing. We want to make a game. We don't want to make a sales pitch. We've done a lot of sales pitching to get to the point where we can actually make a game. Now we're going to make a game that takes time And of course it takes money. You guys have been incredibly supportive. We are at the very end.
I do want to speak to some things,
go for
because
it,
I already
please.
have some things scheduled. You will be seeing some more gameplay on Starr Mazer TV before the Kickstarter ends.
Good.
That is one of the sections we're going to be diving into a lot of the Star Wolf gameplay, and I want to show off some of the systems there and our dynamic things. So that's one of our features that are going to be happening before the Kickstarter ends. After the Kickstarter ends, provided we are successful, we will be showing off some of the gameplay that we are experimenting with. Probably towards the end of March is when we're going to want to be showing off something. That'll give us enough time to like start getting feel right. As far as before people are going to be playing it, I'm not going to confirm a date on that because once again, that's the thing that Don's talking about. That we want to make sure it feels good before we get people to start giving us that feedback.
The current economic state of the game industry has kind of forced people to put the cart miles before the horse. You're asking about gameplay for a game we're asking for money to make. That's weird. If in any other situation, you can't go to the car dealership and say, "Can I have the 2018 model of the car?" No, well, I'm not buying a car then. Like that's a weird thing. I understand it. We're trying to stick with it as fast as we can. We're pumping out stuff, but I want to pump out real stuff. I don't want to pump out fluff. I don't want to do bullshots like they talk. I don't want to make up stuff for you to look just so you have a thing. We're going to show you what we're doing. That's why Starr Mazer TV exists. Keep an eye on it. When we're funded, Starr Mazer TV is not going away. Starr Mazer TV might actually have like a real schedule then at that point because we'll be able to support it on an actual development cycle. So we're going to keep showing. You'll see all kinds of gameplay footage over the course of us building a thing. We will do releases. We will do episodes about it. We will include you because you're paying for it. We're going to include you as much as we can. But I'm not going to commit to like, sure, bro, I'm going to pump out a 40-second video for you where I sit on. I spend more time on Adobe Premiere than I spend building a game. I don't want to do that. I want to make a game for you. That's what we're going to do. We're going to fulfill our promise. So with that, we're literally a minute beyond when we're allowed to go. We have a meeting at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is 1 minute ago by at least one of my kitchen clocks. So thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you for all the amazing support and
Yeah,
all the extra backing. Like holy crap!
That's going to make this work. We're infinitely. Deep down inside, we're infinitely appreciative. I am, for sure. Keep an eye on StarMazer.tv. We'll keep coming out. It'll get better and better and better, I'm sure. We're going to have special guests. We're going to have musical stuff. We're going to have all the cool stuff, and we're going to be totally transparent with you to show you what we're building. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Anything that we didn't hit, ask us.
Hit us up on Twitter.
Hit us on Twitter, Facebook, email us.
And Kickstarter messages.
Kickstarter messages are great. Comments are cool. Social at imagossoftworks.com or social at starmazer.com, which is probably your bigger interest. Social at starmazer, 2 hours, remember, .com. It's actually 3 hours over the course. It's STARRmazer.com. Emails get right to us. Ask us the questions. We're out there for you like you're putting yourselves out there for us. Thanks again for watching Starr Mazer TV. See you next time.